People don't understand that elves are no different from the stamens and pistils of flowers. In order to match their lovers, elves will choose their gender. If the person the elf likes is male, the elf will change its gender to female. If the person the elf likes is female, the elf will try to become a male. To differentiate a gender is to declare that he or she has a lover. In fact, the vast majority of elves will not choose their own gender all their lives. Because there are very few times they will love someone. Compared with choosing their own gender, they seem to be more likely to attract other people's crazy pursuit. Therefore, it's better for your lover to stay away from elves. This was what Desert Dragon Zaka confirmed from her deep memory. The next game. Zero vs Quran. In the challenge arena, the opponents of the next match are drawn. Great. It's time for the hero to play. Quran, the descendant of Assyria with a long spiral spear on his back, licked his lips. Dark Rage Beast, show your rage. Bloodthirsty hunter, it's time to hunt. In his body, the violent blood is ready to move, like a demon dog about to be liberated, roaring to the sky. Be careful. Don't go on the road of no return, Shaheen. Zero didn't pay attention to who her opponent was and looked at Yunshi with more and more uneasy in her eyes. Is this love? Afraid of being robbed of her own unique treasures. Obviously he is on her side, but there are always people looking at him. Time to let you know Desert Dragon Zaka's wrath, you damned enemies. Zero. Player Zero. The organizer of the competition had to amplify his voice to remind her that she would be sentenced to overtime if she didn't move. Go on, don't you want to be the champion of the competition? Yunshi looked at Zaka with a helpless expression. Ah, this jealous look is very similar to Hua Hua. Then I'll go up. Watch my play, Shaheen. This is my showtime. Zero almost forgot her original goal of making a big fight in the competition. Compared with this, Zaka was much more looking forward to the next moment of fighting Yunshi in the arena. Champion. What is that? I don't mind it at all. All the people who stand in the middle of her and Yunshi are enemies. Enemies. Don't you know that if you disturb others to talk about love, you will encounter the dragon's wrath? Puff. Ha. Quran had been waiting for a long time in the arena. He held his long lance in both hands and pressed down his body. He looked like a giant dog ready to roar and fight. Feel it, feel it. The blood in his body was unprecedentedly boiling up. The power of the evil god is releasing some information. Come on, Quran, it's time to hunt. The opponent in front of you is the highest prey, and you will get the highest satisfaction if you succeed in hunting. Go. Bo. The moment Zero jumped onto the challenge arena, Quran moved. He howled like a wolf in the moonlight. It's the roar of the dark beast. It's the bloodthirsty hunter's declaration of bloodthirsty hunting. His lower body was like a spring pressing to the ground, and then he jumped up high and shot the long lance in his hands towards Zero. The rotation of the black long lance accelerated, turning into a black streamer that locked onto Zero's heart. This shot absolutely can hit. This is from Quran's instinct. However, it's not the end. There is a more terrifying kill waiting behind. After throwing the magic lance, Quran's hands suddenly changed into a pair of bloodthirsty claws. This is a pair of green claws with the color of blood flowing. This is the real awakening skill of the Black Dog Prince, inherited from the ancient demon dog Cerberus. Ouch! Prince Quran turned into a virtual shadow, following the long black lance he shot, pouncing at Desert Dragon Zaka. Lock in the opponent. Tear your opponent. Ruthless, cruel, bloodthirsty, this is the instinct of the dark angry beast and bloodthirsty hunter. Even in the face of the dragon, the bloodthirsty hunter dares to rush up. Ding! As predicted by Quran, the rotating and accelerating black long lance hit Zero's chest, the vital point of the human heart. Just, why is the sound so strange? Quran didn't have time to think about it and had launched the strongest biting attack so far. His bloodthirsty claws tearing Zero's body crazily. Ding! 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 It's not like the sound of the bloodthirsty claws tearing the body of flesh and blood, it's more like the sound of the dog's claws scratching a marble wall in vain. So hard. What is it? Quran was shocked to find that his bloodthirsty claws only scratched several white traces on Zero's cloak. It can't be a human body. Is she wearing god armor? No, even god armor can't have such hardness. The hardness can even break his bloodthirsty claws. Wild dog, get out of the way. At this time, Desert Dragon Zaka looked angrily at her cloak that had been torn open. Roar! The dragon roared. Prince Quran was blown away, turned into a meteor in the distance and disappeared on the other side of the horizon. Oh. No matter how many times I see it, you are still so powerful. Looking at Prince Quran was solved with a light and easy dragon roar. Yunshi confirmed once again that Zero was very strong. Ha, it's a pity that I didn't pay attention to my clothes. Compared with the victory, Yunshi's praise made Desert Dragon Zaka 100 times happier. She giggled without a bit of tyranny that ravaged the mainland. Come on, praise me more. Look at me, listen to my voice, and dance with me. The time with you is so happy, so simple. It doesn't matter. I'll sew it for you. Since awakening to the unexpected special ability of making puppets, Yunshi has found that his hands have become more dexterous than before. White Moon's puppet dress, the complicated skirt, and lace were all handmade by him. It's just a few tear marks. The difficulty of sewing is not worth mentioning compared with making White Moon's puppet dress. Please. Zaka never thought that she would sit next to a man and watch him sew clothes for herself. The delicate and skillful hands are so fascinating. No, I'm getting in deeper and deeper. The more I am with him, the more I can't leave him. At this moment, the fierce heartbeat is more intense than when the battle is most intense. Why does fate until now let me meet my chosen one? Did he know long ago that as long as he took the initiative to date her, he would make her like him so much, so hardy? Alas, what should I do? I've never been in such a mood. All right. In less than 5 minutes, Yunshi sewed all the broken parts of Zaka's cloak, and now she could not see any traces that had been torn. Well, it seems that even if he stops being the owner of the bakery, he has new skills for making a living. If he runs out of money on the way to escape marriage, he also consider becoming a tailor or making wooden puppets to earn money? Yunshi wondered if he could reach the passing level when he meets the test of the puppet city in the 7 towers again. It's over. Zaka was still immersed in a sweet mood. After returning to her mind, her cloak has been repaired like a new one. That stupid dog has weak claws. Doesn't he know how to tear her clothes? It's unforgivable. The next time I meet the next opponent, I will break this cloak a little more, so that I can enjoy the sweet moment of only 2 people again. Okay, that's what we decided to do. Desert Dragon Zaka praised her own wit. Happy times always pass so fast. The second round of the championship night competition is over unconsciously. 2 of the 3 favorites before the match have been sifted out in this round. The names of Zero and Shaheen have shocked the whole audience. Especially Zero, who roared at the opponent with absolute crushing advantage twice, won the exclamation of, "Is there really a person who is a match for her?" She has replaced Xiao Chao as the #1 favorite of the championship night competition. Kingfisher and Quran's failure made a lot of gamblers lose their money, while Zero and Shaheen's appearance was to make the profiteers happy. Gamblers began to make a final fight. Almost all of them put the rest of their money on Zero, who showed her crushing strength. Sealed, sealed. The current rate is the final rate, and it will not change. Come on, it's the last chance, the chance to turn over. Don't miss it. In the roar of the profiteers, a mysterious figure appeared in front of the gambling place, quietly pressing down a large amount that can make people scream. The end of blood is coming. Warning. Warning. Away from the prince, away from the prince. Look at him. The building is going to collapse. Two red birds screamed out at the top of their lungs and cursed some bad bastard. The championship night competition, the fourth round, the last 16 games. Yunshi sighed. Why do I meet the girls of the Starwing Knights again? It must have been unfortunate for the girl to meet him in the last 16 games. Hello, I'm Xiaomi's friend. I will do my best. It was a timid girl. She raised the cross sword in her hands and made a special assault gesture for knights. This was a girl who had stepped on the way of her own knight's creed. In the future, she will definitely become an outstanding knight. Looking at the girl with a perfect posture, Yunshi nodded and recognized her efforts. However, she still has confusion in her heart, so she can't see through her weakness. Treat her gently. Yunshi raised his hand. Oh, it's that skill. The girl had known what skill Yunshi was going to use. However, it's one thing to know that Yunshi will use, but it's another thing to be able to prevent it. Yunshi stepped toward her, just like the water lily swaying in the waves, elegant and mysterious, soft and hazy. By the time the girl drew out of the sword, Yunshi's hand had skillfully passed through her defense and gently pressed on her chest. The girl's height, weight, even the length of her toes, and the softness of her body were reflected in Yunshi's mind. Her breasts are pretty. Did she bind her chest with bandages to prevent others from finding out about this? Although the size of her breasts can't be compared with the noble ladies of the Starwing Knights, it's apparently far away from the average. Ah! The girl who was hit in the chest by Yunshi was shaking all over her body. Yunshi approached her subconsciously, clinging to the girl's body, and then turning to the girl behind. Lock. Throw. It was almost exactly the same as he did to Kingfisher just now, but it was faster, and the power was reduced to a negligible degree, almost by using the other's weight. Unlike the hard body, the soft body always looks so beautiful. Before the fallen girl could resist, Yunshi locked her hands and feet with straight armbar, then raised his fist and knocked her small head symbolically. Ah! The girl looked at Yunshi with tears in her eyes. The gap is too big. It's not a gap that any skill or talent can surpass. This is the difference between the hero rank and the mortal rank. Yunshi used his power carefully to avoid hurting her. Throw in the towel. Sitting on the girl's body, Yunshi smiled calmly. The whole process was just like playing with children. What to do, to be as powerful as you are. The girl was unwilling to look at Yunshi, who suppressed herself and made herself unable to move. You will be stronger soon. Yunshi could feel that the girl in front of him had the aptitude to be a witch. In her body, there is an extraordinary magic bud, which is the magic source of the witches. Being a common girl, she had the aptitude to awaken the talent belonging to the witch. This is naturally the effect of Yunshi's seed sharing. It means that she is more suitable for the rank of a witch than a knight. Of course, it doesn't mean that she can't use the sword. Many witches are also good at using their magic wands as large siege weapons. Really? I can be as strong as you. The girl's eyes began to be full of hope. Yes, you have a different future. Yunshi also wondered why she, as a member of the Starwing Knights, had awakened the magic talent of the witch. I'll try. The girl put up her chest and began to be confident again. I'm Xiaoye. Thank you for your advice. Ah, whether it is Xiaomi or Xiaoya, my Starwing Knights have so many talented girls. Watching the girls grow up like flowers in the garden, showing their charm, Yunxi has a sense of achievement. Maybe that's how horticulturists feel. Don't let me say it again. Don't talk to other girls in front of me. Desert Dragon Zaka gnashed her teeth and looked at Yunxi. Her dragon teeth were almost exposed as anger boiled in her eyes. Feeling the horror of Zaka, the people around her are frightened away like birds and beasts. Not everyone can be the same as Yunxi, who can have a peaceful heart facing the dragon. It looks like we'll meet each other in the arena soon. Yunxi came down from the arena and didn't notice anything wrong with Zaka at all. Yes, this is our stage. The names of Zero and Shaheen will make the prince sleepless with fear. Desert Dragon Zaka proudly raised her head. Yes, that's it. Except for her and Shaheen, other contestants of the championship night competition are just a bunch of weak chickens. There is no need to worry about the short-lived species. Except for the elf, who is a little dangerous, the others are not even qualified to be her opponent. The treasure Zaka wants must be occupied in every way. Let me beat down all of them. Being praised by Yunxi, Zaka had an impulse to smash the competition completely. She wants these stupid people to know what a real dragon is. Don't exaggerate. Show your real strength in the final. Yunxi had a headache. He looked at Zaka, who was so full of energy. If it's Huahua, she won't have such a strong desire to attack. She is like a bad version of Huahua. Ha! With another roar, Desert Dragon Zaka triumphantly blew her opponent away. Everyone who saw this scene had no doubt about the last winner of the competition. Overbearing. Strong. Invincible. The name of Zero has become a symbol of despair. At least other contestants of this competition have given up their hope to be the champion. Other people are aiming at the top 3 at most. In the eyes of many people, the top 3 of the championship night competition has been decided. The strongest contestant, Zero. The second favorite one, may also be the only one who has the hope to challenge Zero, Xiao Chao. The third favorite one, the person who showed his strong close combat ability in the competition, Shaheen. In fact, the situation was developing as people expected. The final 16. The final 8. The final 4. Zero, Shaheen, Xiao Chao, and a knight of the royal household became the last 4 people of the championship night competition. As a result of drawing lots and grouping, Zero took the lead in the attack. The hero-ranked royal knight was specially dressed in the ancestral armor and had a big shield. Unfortunately, none of the equipment had any effect on resisting Desert Dragon Zaka's roar, and he was instantly blown away. The next battle was between Yunxi and his deputy head of Starwing Knights. Xiao Chao. Yunxi looked at Xiao Chao, who came up from the arena opposite him, and felt a little nervous. Only her, even in the face of the overwhelming crushing victory of Zaka, never showed any wavering. Without Desert Dragon Zaka and Yunxi, the Starwing Knights would have been the biggest winner of the championship night competition. Half of the people of the top 16 belonged to the Starwing Knights. Xiao Chao was as calm as ever, just like her name. The power of the dragon can make the most bloodthirsty beast escape, but it can't make the most humble grass bow its head. Whether you pay attention or not, value it or despise it, the grass is there, growing strong and tough. She is stronger again. Yunxi could clearly feel the power of Xiao Chao at present. His seed gave her talent, just like spreading the best soil on the barren land, which transformed Xiao Chao, who was originally growing slowly overnight. Maybe even without Yunxi's seed, Xiao Chao would still reach the legend rank in the distant future with her efforts. Yunxi changed Xiao Chao's fate and opened her way to a higher world. Of all the members of the Starwing Knights who have accepted Yunshi seeds, Xiao Chao has the highest growth rate. That's a change that can be judged by the naked eye. Every day, Xiao Chao is actually becoming more powerful. What makes Yunshi feel strange is that this kind of growth has not stopped at all. After the transformation, Xiao Chao, like lifting the upper limit of growth, is steadfast in the constant battle without any stagnancy. She killed the giant scorpion summoned by desert dragon Zaka alone, and this was far from her limit. Even Huayu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, might have been left far behind by Xiao Chao if she had not inherited the legacy of the Holy Knights. You are very strong. Holding her mortal sword, Xiao Chao looked at Yunshi and said lightly. This is the first time for her to speak to her opponent at the championship night competition. It also means that Yunshi is an enemy that needs to be treated with all her strength. You're good, too. Yunshi knows all the data of Xiao Chao's body even without using his soft water palm. The soft skin, delicate body. Every corner had been presented in the moonlight in front of his eyes. On the day when they were on the desert island, Xiao Chao appeared in front of him on a dolphin from the sea, and this fantastic scene had long been firmly engraved in his memory. I'm going to be serious. Xiao Chao slowly raised the sword in her hand, and her eyes became extremely quiet. It was like the calm before a storm, like the boundless silence before a thunderstorm. The battle god seed in Yunshi's body released more energy of qi and blood than usual, which seemed to remind Yunshi that this battle was extraordinary. I know it. Xiao Chao's combat power will become stronger as she meets strong opponents. Her fighting instinct may be superior to that of Kingfisher. So, I will also more seriously take out the real stunts to defeat her. Yunshi's right hand raised like the wings of a crane, and there were invisible ripples around him. The water god dance. As one who had witnessed how Yunshi defeated other members of the Starwing Knights with this skill, Xiao Chao showed no fear. Following a drum-like footstep rhythm of drums, she bravely attacked Yunshi. The first slash, from left to right. The second cleave, from top to bottom. Xiao Chao's sword looked so simple and ordinary. Only Yunshi who faced the sword could feel the strong will contained in it. The water god dance failed for the first time. The circle spread from Yunshi as the center was cut by Xiao Chao's mortal sword. Although it recovered soon, it lost all of its special abilities. This means that Yunshi cannot predict Xiao Chao's attack exactly as before. The power of the sword of the mortal perfectly restrained Yunshi's water god dance. Although this ability is just a prototype, it is enough to make Yunshi feel its horror. If he faced such a sword when he had just entered the world of Dragon War, he might have been suppressed by such a mortal sword. Fortunately, Yunshi was not the ordinary bakery owner now. He had obtained his own god weapon, Star Wings, and made a puppet with its own soul. Yunshi grew faster than Xiao Chao, which also had the credit of the Starwing Knights. It's okay if you can't predict the enemy's attack. As long as you can be faster and stronger than the enemy. With his fingertips moving, Yunshi's palm touched Xiao Chao's mortal sword. The sword of the mortal has a special effect of breaking all the extraordinary attributes. Xiao Chao is the only one who can exert the power of the sword to this extent. But in addition, it is not sharp, nor has any other special ability. For Xiao Chao, this is the best god weapon for her, the most powerful weapon with unlimited possibilities. Giving her enough time to grow up, Yunshi was afraid that even God could be killed by her. Of course, she doesn't have that power yet. Pat! With faster speed and reaction ability than Xiao Chao, Yunshi's palm hit her sword body from the side. The strange concussion force passed from the sword body. This is not magic or spell, but the high-level application of the soft body's force. Other members of the Starwing Knights who fought against Yunshi were completely defeated by this kind of attack, and they didn't even know how they got it. Xiao Chao was obviously different. At the first moment when her body was invaded by the power of soft water palm, her body began to shake in a strange rhythm, while the sword in her hand was as stable as ever. The soft water palm's force was dissolved for the first time. The rhythm of Xiao Chao's body automatically analyzed the way of soft water palm's invasion, and used the method she could use to resist the silent attack. It's a terrible talent. Although Yunxi himself shared Xiao Chao's talent, just like Huahua's talent, it's impossible to exert a stronger power of the seed than the girl herself. The sword of the mortal is a god's sword only belonging to Xiao Chao, her exclusive hero road. Yunxi's choice is not the path of the sword of the mortal. The Sea of Stars is his final destination. Xiao Chao's seed, now in the Sea of Stars, seems inconspicuous, but it has the greatest potential to become the most dazzling star. Shaheen's fight against Xiao Chao finally showed people the fierce battle of the real hero rank. As the last battle of the final four, it is the most enjoyable, heart-beating and blood-boiling battle that can be understood by ordinary people. Fast, faster, fastest. Without a reason. Xiao Chao's sword is just like her own cultivation process, showing a step-by-step growing process. Limbo Rock, this is the most remarkable skill of Xiao Chao's sword of the mortal. Add up the attack over and over again, and each attack will be stronger than the last one. After 1,000 times, it shows a potent effect. If Yunxi didn't use the water god dance, he would have lost long ago if he only used his half-tone melee skills. In terms of battle intuition, Yunxi is slightly inferior to Xiao Chao, who has the sword of the mortal. As a hero rank baker, Yunxi's mentality is slightly better than Xiao Chao's. Speed, strength, and reaction are nearly equal, but Yunxi's soft body is better than Xiao Chao's swordsmanship. Comparing the advantages and disadvantages of the two sides, Yunxi and Xiao Chao were able to draw, if Yunxi didn't use his god weapon, Star Wings. There is no doubt that this is the most exciting and fierce battle since the beginning of the championship night competition. Both sides fell into a wonderful rhythm. The two sides changed their moves at the same time. Xiao Chao was trying to avoid being hit by Yunxi's soft water palm, while Yunxi was trying to find the flaws of Xiao Chao's sword of the mortal. Yunxi didn't switch the soft body to the hard body, although by using this he could force to interrupt Xiao Chao's limbo rock. Xiao Chao didn't stop the dance, but under the pressure of the soft water palm, the speed of sword waving became faster and the trace of the sword became more changeable. After losing the water god dance's prediction skill, Yunxi was using his stronger constitution to capture Xiao Chao's attack route, not with eyes, but with feelings to fight against Xiao Chao. At last, Huahua's sword skill seed has grown up in such a high-speed and fierce battle. Although Yunxi was not fighting with the sword, it was just because he was facing Xiao Chao's strongest sword of the mortal, and the arrogant Huahua's sword skill seed was willing to release its power so actively. Compared with Xiao Chao's sword of the mortal, Huahua's sword was a sword skilled judging everything from a higher level. In front of the sky-flying sword, all the ordinary creatures are as insignificant as the ground insects. Only creatures that are loved by the rules of heaven and earth, like fantastic creatures, are entitled to witness the dance of the sky-flying sword. This is not originally a sword skill used for human beings, but a god sword skill. It and Xiao Chao's mortal sword are almost at two extremes. In theory, it is possible for anyone to cultivate the sword of the mortal. Huahua's sky-flying sword is born as a sword skill in the field of God, with the characteristics of surpassing everything. Even though Yunxi does not have a sword in his hand now, he has a sword in his heart. It's a sword that can cut the world. Perhaps, the fields that both eventually lead to are the same, but in the initial stage, there is no doubt that the sky-flying sword is stronger. It's reflected in Yunxi, who gradually understood the mystery of the sky-flying sword, was that the soft water palm he waved casually brought with a touch of elegance and pride. There is no sword in the hand, only because the sword is in the heart. Pat! For the first time, Xiao Chao's sword of the mortal didn't eliminate Yun Shi's palm power. The sword body was lowered, and Xiao Chao, who was infiltrated into the body by the power of the soft water palm, was knocked back 3 steps. This was the first time that Xiao Chao had been forced back since the beginning of the battle, and her limbo rock had been forced to interrupt. Well done, Shaheen. Zaka cheered loudly. From every move of Yun Shi, she felt a kind of breath called fate. His movement, and that grace, fascinated her. Obviously, he is a human, but he has a kind of air of looking down on everything. Yes, just like Zakas, who are more powerful than any other intelligent creatures and born with the absolute power to dominate the world. Naturally, only the creature who has the same power as Zakas has the qualification to be loved by her. Yun Shi was now showing Zaka that he also had perfect combat skills in addition to his terrifying power. What's more, this way of fighting can resonate with Zaka's blood. Apparently, he is not the descendant of the original giant dragon. Can any human master this kind of temperament? If it's not confirmed that Yun Shi has neither dragon scales nor horns, Zaka will think that he is her own kind. It has to be said that the effect of this exhibition is excellent. Zaka was very satisfied with Yun Shi's performance and gave him 100 points. Just, why don't you draw out your god weapon? If you use that sword, isn't it super simple to defeat the girl in front of you? Yun Shi, of course, will not use Star Wings on Xiao Chao. He will never take the initiative to pull out the sword that may bring infinite terror to his own Starwing Knights. And even without the Star Wings, he had the confidence to beat Xiao Chao. The sky-flying sword is his greatest strength. After the 3,000 combos of her limbo rock were forced to interrupt, Xiao Chao slightly frowned. Her speed, strength, and attack power once reached the strongest state when she reached 3,000 combos in the limbo rock. Even this kind of dance was broken by Yun Shi. And the way Yun Shi broke it, was a way she couldn't understand and analyze. It seems to be ordinary, and the attack speed is not fast, but it is forced to overwhelm and destroy her sword power at the strongest point. The power of God. This is the first time Xiao Chao has met the God Sword skill, which is located at the top of the Endless Gods domains. Even though her Sword of the Mortal has the ability to break all the extraordinary attributes, the sword skill is not magic, Taoism, or divinity. The sky-flying sword's just a sword skill. However, it's a God Sword skill. Xiao Chao's sword can reach the field of the God Sword skill in theory, but it needs countless data and experience accumulation. When Xiao Chao goes through countless battles and surpasses all enemies, the Sword of the Mortal can reach this realm. Now Xiao Chao is far away from that realm, so facing the sky-flying sword of Yun Shi, she felt the limitation of herself for the first time. The Sword of the Mortal, for the first time, met an invincible opponent. This so pleasant. Xiao Chao smiled and saw the end of the fight. I will lose. Shaheen, go on, use your sword to kill her. Take it out and solve her in seconds. Zaka shouted. Oh, sword, he hasn't drawn out his sword yet. Although Xiao Chao doesn't know what the sword is, maybe it's a kind of extremely powerful god weapon. So, is that how to admit defeat? The Sword of the Mortal is never an invincible sword, but a sword that can accomplish the ultimate ideal of all people by accumulating experience with countless simple efforts. Such a sword, of course, is not afraid of failure. Rather, a real failure can make the Sword of the Mortal grow better. Just like the grass, who can't burn out wildfires, every defeat will make the Sword of the Mortal stronger and more unyielding. Don't be merciful. Let me see your strongest sword. Xiao Chao once again grasped her mortal sword, her eyes become more stable, even with a smile of expectation, quietly saying what shocked Yun Shi, my prince, how do you know? Yun Shi was stunned. He had the confidence that his disguise is perfect. How could Xiao Qiao see through it? I smell it. Xiao Qiao answered naturally. Are you a dog? Yunxi was speechless. He looked at Xiao Qiao. For the first time, he knows that his deputy leader of the Starwing Knights has such special effects. Well, just one sword. Since Xiao Qiao was so requested, Yunxi knew that he couldn't pretend that his sword was not a god weapon anymore. Looking at Xiao Qiao's extremely serious eyes, Yunxi can't hide anymore. Ah, Zero. Why did you say it? If you didn't say it, she may not have noticed the sword. The name of the sword is Starwings. He held out his hand. Yunxi closed his eyes and began to imagine that cat. Lovely cat. Elegant cat. The cat that exists and doesn't exist at the same time. I like cats. Yunhai's quadrant sword. Now that he has made a promise, let Xiao Qiao have a look. This must be the sword she expected. The sky-flying sword that is beyond everything. Oh, you finally drew it out, Shaheen. Zero looked at the Starwings in Yunxi's hands, which was also the cause of her defeat not long ago. Without Starwings breaking Zaka's indestructible defense, Yunxi would not have had a chance to defeat her at all. Seeing Starwings once again, Zaka couldn't help but reach behind and hold the gravel-colored sword. This sword didn't even make its debut in the battle with Yunxi, that is to say, Zaka didn't make every effort in that battle. The sword seemed to feel the pressure of Starwings and started to rotate spontaneously. The surrounding wind started to appear at an abnormal speed. This is Zaka's god weapon, the Star of the Sand. It was forged from the fantasy crystallization of the original dragon. It's enough to prove how terrible Starwings is to make the Star of the Sand have such a reaction. Getting stronger. Yunxi was aware of this. Can't imagine that this is really a god weapon melted and recast by the Crane Wing's twin swords. It's terrible enough that he can use the sword skill, sword aura, infinitely. Now there is another feature that the sword will become stronger with the passage of time. Is this really the god weapon that belongs to me? Yunxi has a bad feeling that some unknown changes are taking place in the god's sword that the stars sent to him. Looking carefully, the veins on the sword body seem to be more detailed and complicated, just like the wings were originally projected, and now they were slowly approaching him in this world. This is the prince's god weapon. What a powerful, terrible sword. Xiao Qiao looked at Starwings in Yunxi's hand with excitement in her eyes. This sword looks like a gorgeous work of art. No matter the clear and transparent color of the sword body or the arm guard with the hilt extended like wings, it presents a unique beauty. Especially when the sword is held by Yunxi, the lines of the whole world seem to crisscross into different melodies, playing around him. It's the music of non-god, non-devil, and non-human. It's the sound of nature that stirs the strings of the world. Unlike the whispers of the ancient gods, the voice from Starwings is more like some kind of ballad. That ballad across the long river of time and space echoes in Yunxi's ear with the world as a tool to transmit sound. Lovely, happy, sad, distressed, all these constitute the melody of love. I will definitely carry out this love to the end. In the overflowing spring of love, this feeling transcends everything. Even time and space, life and death, can't stop my love for you. Make an appointment under the blue sky. This is my song of love. The love for you weaves the melody in song of love for me. Love me well, my love. The sweet, the joyful, the sad, the painful, even the regret, and the anxious are the melody of love. Whenever and wherever, this missing accompanies you, because that is my song of love. I was born to love you and sing to pass it on. When I met you, the melody flowed and still reverberated in my heart. Listen to my voice of love, my love. The eyes of the masters of the wings following the path of certain destiny, start to gaze at the distance through the endless star river with the star wings as the medium. That's what the stars see. It's destiny. Girls with wings on their backs. Green wings represent infinite vitality. Black wings represent cold and death. Mercury wings represent sanctity and nobleness. The wings represent the merciless destruction. The wings represent the Creator. The golden wings burning above the 33 heavens. Yunshi counted and was 100% sure that the number of wings reflected in the star wings increased again. Is this the way to gather all the colors of the wings? Why do I feel that the more I use the star wings, the closer I'm approaching my death? Delusion. It must be a delusion. Star wings is a god weapon evolved from the crane wings twin swords. It's not an unknown god weapon. Yunshi firmly believes that no matter how many young girls with wings are reflected in the star wings, he can bear it. Anyway, it's a long time before he can use the real power of these wings. He has not yet broken through the hero rank as a swordsman. Just looking at these wings, he can feel the power of infinite rules they represent. That's not something the hero rank can hold. Yes, don't worry. As long as you become strong enough, you can ignore any side effects. Star wings belong to you. So draw your sword. In response to Yunshi's will, star wings immediately released the light of wings which once made desert dragon Zakat suffer a great loss. It's not the sword aura that human beings can understand. It may not even belong to the concept of sword aura. Each star wing's light of wings is independent and even has the instinct to automatically track the opponent's attack. This gorgeous scene is just the simplest attack of the star wings. Xiao Chao wielded the sword of the mortal in her hand, fighting against the light of the star wings. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Xiao Chao was driven into a desperate situation by the star wing's light of wings, and stepped into a field that she had never reached before. In contrast, Yunshi raised the star wings in his hands and took a deep breath. The next second, Xiao Chao's body, like the straw swept by a merciless storm, was blown out of the arena. Yunshi underestimated the star wing's sword and the sky-flying sword. The sky-flying sword itself is a god sword skill that allows ordinary swordsmen to kill a hero-ranked powerful monster. Star Wings is the future sword among the 3 strongest swords in the memory of stars, forging by using countless precious treasures and even gods' and demons' lives. The first time Yunshi used Star Wings, he only swung the sword and forever ended the sin of the degenerated king, who obtained part of the power of ancient gods. The second time the Star Wings was used, it was against the dragon that was ravaging the mainland. He only used a brandish and then the dragon's scale was broken through, which was hard enough to block the attack of forbidden spells. However, Yunshi had never tried to perform the sky-flying sword with Star Wings. The sky-flying sword is not just a god sword skill that literally allows people to fly in the sky. The sky-flying sword symbolizes infinite freedom, which is not bound by all rules. When Yunshi summoned the Star Wings for the 3rd time, and used the sky-flying sword, the strongest god sword in the future of the star's memory finally showed its true power. Now, he was using the second ability of the Star Wings, a basic ability developed by the sky-flying sword. Really, it's not a special power at all. It's the ability to use as long as it's a sword and is performed by a qualified swordsman. It's just a little stronger than the most basic, normal attack and a little more time-consuming, which is known as charge attack. Whether it's swordsmen, knights, or other professions using swords, charge attack is a required combat skill. It's a general skill to use more time and concentration to attack. The problem is that the Star Wings' charge and Yunshi's understanding of charge are not the same concept at all. He just held the Star Wings in his hands, concentrated, and found out in horror that things were out of control. A pair of giant golden wings appeared behind Yunshi without any omen, which is exactly the law represented by the wings closest to Yunshi, a kind of extremely hot power that seems to burn through heaven and earth. Yunxi just felt this power not long ago. This is a unique attribute of the Sunwalker. The sun burns and shines on everything. The sun brings glory and destruction. Of all the stars, the sun gives birth to the most life and destroys the most life. The golden wings that emerge behind Yunxi are a pair of true wings of the sun. Because the owner of the wings is the weakest and the closest to Yunxi, they become the first pair of wings that come to the star wings. Normally, it is impossible for Yunxi to let the two wings come at this stage. It's the sky-flying sword that opens the forbidden door. The sky-flying sword can break all the shackles and obtain unlimited freedom. It lifted the restrictions of star wings, calling the golden wings of the sun to Yunxi. This series of accidents eventually formed an irreversible chain reaction, which showed a pair of wings in star wings in advance. The problem is, for Yunxi, who has not even reached the hero rank, the wings are too powerful. Hot, hot. Yunxi never felt his blood so boiling, just like the hot magma in the volcano. Xiao Chao is no longer in the arena. The light wings directly blew her out. The golden wings, even if they are just projections, are beyond the limit that Xiao Chao can bear now. It was as easy as breathing to blow her body away. Well, is that your real strength, Shaheen? At this time, only Zaka dared to jump into the arena. The more power Yunxi shows, the happier she is. In the dragon race, if the male dragon can show the overwhelming power to the female dragon, it will definitely be a big bonus for the male dragon. 200 points. Zaka didn't hesitate to give Yunxi her score. Some people can score 100 in the exam, that's because their limit is only 100. Some people get 100 points because the limit of this exam is only 100 points. Take the sky-flying sword as the key, summon the wings of the sun. There is no doubt that in the exam of a proposal to Zaka, Yunxi has obtained the super score that satisfies Zaka by 200%. Go away, I can't stop. Big drops of sweat fell from Yunxi's forehead. Countless beautiful golden red elves were cheering, dancing, and laughing around him. They are the spirits of light and fire, the only fantastic creatures that can survive beside the Sunwalker. Where the Sunwalker goes, the earth will melt, the sky will burn, and everything will collapse in the endless fire of the sun. No, it's not a delusion, it's something that's going to happen. What the Sunwalker bears is such a lonely fate. No need to stop. It's time to fight. Zaka held the star of the sand behind her and pulled out the god weapon for the first time. The spiral pattern was rotating, whistling, releasing the same horrible atmosphere as Yunxi's star wings at the moment. The power of the original dragon is not afraid of any foreign things. It is the power of the rules from the origin of the world. Desert Dragon Zaka held the power of the whole western desert world. The hot sandstorm blew up, revealing the charming and lovely face under the cloak, as well as the tall golden hair horns. Come on, Shaheen. The final battle of the Champion Night competition started. No, I can't control it. Yunxi was relieved to see Desert Dragon Zaka come on stage. Xiao Chao can't take this attack at any rate now. Her growth speed is really extraordinary, but this one is from Star Wings. He even felt that his sword could raise the whole city to the ground. He had completely lost control of Star Wings. If this is the power accumulated from his own cultivation, there is no such problem naturally. Even the battle god seed will naturally stop after reaching a certain limit. But Star Wings is different. The power that this sword summons easily exceeds the limit that Yunxi can control. At this moment, Yunxi even has an illusion that his body has become a little sun. All the time, his body radiated high temperature, and even the stone slabs of the arena began to melt. What a comfortable temperature. Zaka stood comfortably in the arena, which was almost to become a lava pool. She smiled happily at Yunxi. In her hand, the spiral blade had begun to rotate and accelerate, and even the clouds in the sky had been stirred. The decisive battle, without any omen or notice to anyone, came so suddenly. The so-called rules of the championship night competition have become a joke. Evacuate, evacuate. If you don't want to die, all people who haven't reached the hero rank leave the arena. Watching the speed of the collapse of the magic shield of the arena, the captains of the Kingdom Knights roared wildly. In fact, when Yunxi's figure almost completely disappeared in the burning light and the whole arena began to melt, the audience had already fled. No matter how good the duel is, they need to be alive to watch it. Just like those knights said, people who don't reach the hero rank don't even have the qualification to see the battle at this level. Now, everyone is worried about whether this battle will blow up the whole city. Come for me, hot star of the sand. Desert Dragon Zaka proudly raised the god weapon in her hand. The spiral blade summoned endless gravel and brought the desert storm. These endless sands are entangled and compressed together to form a large sphere, which looks like a small planet. Compared with the sandstorms summoned by Zaka's real body, this is more real and closer to the attitude of the planet. If the sandstorm was just a large-scale strategic weapon formed by gathering numerous sands together, then the aggregate of sands is closer to the essence of rules. This is the ultimate weapon that Desert Dragon Zaka summoned with her god weapon, Star of the Sand. Even the name of her god weapon is closely related to it. The hot sand star, the incarnation of the god weapon field, which will bring endless pressure when it comes to the world. Its weight is more than hundreds of millions of tons. If it was smashed down, the sky of the entire continent would be covered by dust. No flesh and blood can directly resist the power of this planet falling, which is also the strongest god weapon held by Desert Dragon Zaka. As the earliest born, Desert Dragon Zaka has the weakest power, but also, she has been compensated for by her god weapon. Her Star of the Sand is the only super god weapon among the 4 god weapons held by the 4 sisters. Yunxi is worried about the control of star wings, while Zaka has no such problem at all, because she won't control the Star of the Sand at all. Take it. Shaheen. This is the last test. The eyes of Desert Dragon Zaka were shining. Yunxi showed his strongest, star wings and his unparalleled strength, so she naturally has to show the highest level of test to prove her mind. Propose and be proposed. Love and be loved. This is the battle to decide who will take the initiative in passionate love. The rules of the championship night competition were forgotten by Desert Dragon Zaka. From the moment Yunxi pulled out star wings and showed his strongest side, Desert Dragon Zaka was so moved that she had long forgotten the original purpose of making a big kill in the city. What prince? Get out of the way. Now, it's time to propose and test. It's time to follow the dragon's love rules, show each other their strongest side, and reach a tacit agreement. Good. Yunxi didn't know what Desert Dragon Zaka was talking about at all, but when he saw the Star of the Sand, his eyes suddenly brightened. There's a goal. At least, if I take this as the object of attack, it will not cause too much damage to the royal city. If Desert Dragon Zaka hadn't jumped out to do this, he would have made an unforgivable mistake. Who would have thought that using the sky-flying sword would cause such a disaster? This sword is absolutely enough to burn the whole city. The flame of the wings of the sun is not for killing, but for the real doomsday. The power of star wings is 100 times more terrible than his imagination. He really belittled this sword, which represents the god sword among the 3 swords in the future world line. The golden wings spread freely behind Yunxi, and the whole arena ground has evaporated, leaving only a crater. I'm not going to be lenient. With her feet on the hot Star of the Sand, Zaka said haughtily. Maybe in a one-on-one battle, she is not the rival of her 3 unborn sisters, but in the most simple destruction, she deserves the name of the dragon that ravages the mainland. Among the four sisters, she is the only Zaka who holds the world against God weapon. She is the great desert dragon Zaka. The wings behind Yunshi suddenly shrank back, and endless solar wind particles began to emerge crazily. Next second, in Yunshi's vision, there are only endless golden red flames. This is not the power Yunshi, who has not reached the hero rank, should use. The Sunwalker is a legend-ranked creature at the top of the starry sky. Every Sunwalker has the power to incarnate as the sun, to shine and destroy everything. Now, Yunshi is experiencing the taste of becoming a light furnace. The power that could not be used by him at this stage came directly to him through the star wings. Yunshi can only force himself to adapt to and accept this power by using the drawings of the light furnace in his mind, although he didn't know whether it is correct or not. It has to be said that the gift left by Princess Golden Sun Crow played a crucial role at this time. It's because of the light furnace forged with Princess Golden Sun Crow that Yunshi didn't burn himself when he summoned the wings of the sun. I'm a light furnace. I'm a light furnace. I'm a light furnace. With this seemingly unreliable but unexpectedly useful self-hypnosis, Yunshi wasn't lost in the fire of the sun brought by the wings of the sun. This time, it is different from the battle with the Princess Golden Sun Crow. There is no Golden Sun Crow as the core controller for Yunshi. He can only pretend to be the light furnace, so that the coming of the wings of the sun does not turn into a disaster that destroys the whole kingdom. Yunshi never thought that Star Wings, that he had prepared to use to defeat the dragon, was more dangerous than the dragon who had not actually appeared. It's just the weakest and youngest pair of wings in the Star Wings. What would it be like if all the wings appeared from Star Wings? He can't imagine what it would be like. It's too far away for the boy who was the owner of the bakery not long ago. It's like letting a young man who is still learning 9 chapters of arithmetic and geometric principles design a quantum computer. It's too unrealistic. All the people in the city saw that horrible scene on this day. With a diameter of more than 1 kilometer, an object suspected of meteorites appears in the sky without warning. A few people who are close to the arena and have good eyesight can even see the figure on it. In the next second, countless golden red particles rose from the earth and formed a light column that ran through the sky and the earth. It's Yunshi Star Wings, the sword of the sun that comes out of the wings of the sun. Hundreds of millions of light and fire spirits danced between heaven and the earth, letting the elf on the ground hold his heart, showing the expression of intoxication. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, the meteorite weighs hundreds of millions of tons. Desert Dragon Zaka tightly holds the sword. Now, more than anyone else, she can clearly feel how much earth-shaking power has been released from the wings of Yunshi and the god's sword. Over 1,000,000 degrees. It not only melts the ground directly, but also causes the plasma phenomenon. If she hadn't pulled out the star of the sand and shielded the surrounding area with the desert field, the high temperature would have burned the whole city to ashes. Such power, it's a weapon to destroy the world. Yunshi couldn't control the power of the sun's wings well. He just compressed the flame of the wings in one direction and had done his best. The high temperature of more than 1,000,000 degrees can burn through the whole crust in an instant, and even make the Earth's core boil. The sun lightsaber condensed at this temperature bombards the meteorite, which makes the whole hot meteorite melt and evaporate in a few seconds. If it wasn't for the star of the sand to continuously provide the energy to repair the melted part of the meteorite, in a moment, the meteorite which could destroy the world would have been destroyed. Even so, the meteorite weighing over hundreds of millions of tons was shivering in this endless solar storm. How can the star of the sand be compared with the power of the sun? In the 5th second, the smile on Zaka's face turned to amazement. No, this power is extraordinary. In the 7th second, Zaka's clothes began to burn, and soon exposed her healthy skin. The 10th second, the whole meteorite began to enter the countdown of its destruction. Boom! In less than 15 seconds, the whole meteorite disintegrated in the endless solar storm. Whoa, whoa! With a diameter of more than 1 kilometer, only a core less than 10 meters was left to Desert Dragon Zaka, and then was blown away to the sky by the sunlight stream. From the time Yunshi drew out the sword, to the collapse of the meteorite, it only took about 13 seconds. In the short time of 13 seconds, the temperature over the whole continent has risen by more than 10 degrees. The golden red track even extended beyond the atmosphere. On the ground, Yunshi carefully put down Star Wings and scrunched his face. There had never been such a victory, which made Yunshi so frightened. If it wasn't for Zaka, who had launched an unknown field around here that constrained the power of the wings of the sun. In addition, the meteorite she summoned consumed more than half of the power of the solar light flow. Yunshi was afraid that he wouldn't have to wait for the dragon to come. He would have eliminated his own kingdom in advance. The power of Star Wings is so terrifying. Crap. This is the first time Yunshi really felt how terrible Star Wings was. Is this the sword that represents the future, really the god weapon he can forge? Is there something wrong with this sword? It's terrible. In the sky, there are meteors passing through. Unlike ordinary meteors, which burn out in the atmosphere with only a little debris left, this reddish-red meteor has a diameter of more than 10 meters, and its speed across the sky is more than 3 times faster than ordinary meteors. Look carefully, the red meteor's surface is still burning a terrible golden red flame. Even if it is far away from the golden red light flow that runs through the sky, the meteor is still melting in the high temperature, especially the part of the shell. Every second, the golden gravel is burned by the sun's flame into the crystal of glass, and then evaporates completely. By the time the core of this large-scale strategic weapon followed a certain rule and fell from the sky to the most terrible forbidden area of the whole continent, it was only about 3 meters in size. Even so, when the meteor fell, it still caused a big earthquake. The meteor falling from the sky directly blew through the zenith of the nest, causing an earthquake. In the countless dust flying, only the last core, the star of the sand, finally returned to the original dragon's nest. The original dragon, who was still sleeping, had a flash of green light on its head, scanned the star of the sand, and then fell silent. Haha, what a mess, sister. A small white hand pressed on the surface of the star of the sand, which was almost melting the ground with its high temperature. Next second, the temperature in the nest began to drop sharply. The star of the sand was surrounded by ice and snow crystals up to 10 meters thick. Inside the ice and snow crystal with light ice blue, a girl with dark blue long hair, and looked almost the same as Desert Dragon Zaka, slightly frowned. Ice Dragon Zaka, the second of Zaka's 4 sisters, was born ahead of time. If it's an ordinary high temperature, even if it's 100,000 degrees, with Ice Dragon Zaka's ability, it can freeze in a few seconds. However, the flame around the core surface of the star of the sand is not a common flame. It was the fire from the sun, which almost burned the whole star of the sand to ashes, forcing this god weapon to abandon 99% of the shell only to separate the core from the terrible sun fire. What a strong flame! Licked her fingers that were burned red, Zaka pulled out her god weapon. Her god weapon, of course, is also the unique gift that the original dragon gave her children. The Frost Dragon's Tooth is its name. Different from Desert Dragon Zaka's, the Star of the Sand, it is a god weapon with a light blue luster and extremely powerful ice property. Although it can't trigger the natural disasters of meteorites, it can also launch a large-scale forbidden spell of Ice Land. It is a god weapon with the characteristic of an opposing army. It is the best way to change the environment. Compared with the simple destruction of the Star of the Sand, the Frost Dragon's Teeth is a weapon to manipulate the celestial phenomena, and it's also a powerful weapon in the human war. It looks like a broken sword in the shape of a dragon's tooth. The sword is inlaid with 3 dark blue gems. Each gemstone is frozen with the power of Iceland, which means that Ice Dragon Zaka can use this forbidden spell 3 times in a row. Chi! The frost dragon's tooth pierces the coarse surface of the Star of the Sand, and Ice Dragon Zaka can feel that 1/3 of the power in the god weapon is released in an instant. The power of the forbidden spell Iceland dispersed all the sun flames twining on the surface of the Star of the Sand. If she didn't do it immediately, her sisters may even be burned inside their dragon's egg. What kind of enemies did she provoke? Is there some unknown flame-type fantastic creature on this continent? Ice Dragon Zaka confusedly looked at Desert Dragon Zaka, who was released from the core of the Star of the Sand. Although my sister is a bit stupid, she will not provoke such a strong opponent for no reason, will she? On this continent, there should only be the twin witches in the South Forest who have this strength. Was she burned by the witch named Red Lotus? However, when she looked at her sister's dumb face, why did she feel like something is not right with her sister? Give her 1 hit. Without hesitation, Ice Dragon Zaka stabbed her sister, Desert Dragon Zaka, in the heart. It's so hot. I'm scalded. It's so cold. It's freezing me. Desert Dragon Zaka, who was stabbed by her sister, turned over, and then showed her invincible battle skill, Desert Dragon Zaka's tumbling. After rolling for dozens of times on the ground, Desert Dragon Zaka hit the wall of the dragon's nest and recovered from the world of fire and ice. Ah, sister, you have hatched. Desert Dragon Zaka smirked stupidly without any frustration. It's better to say that the triumphant and high-spirited appearance looks as if she has won an unprecedented victory. Sister, did Red Lotus burn your head? Ice Dragon Zaka looked at her elder sister, Desert Dragon Zaka, with a sad expression on her little face. My sister has become more stupid. What can I do? Is there a solution? Congratulations, congratulations, the world is very beautiful, very outstanding. We are going to conquer the world and become the king of the world. Desert Dragon Zaka is full of joy that makes Ice Dragon Zaka unable to understand. Even her attitude towards her sister has become super gentle. The world is beautiful, love is sweet, the future belongs to her. Desert Dragon Zaka trotted to her sister, embracing Ice Dragon Zaka's head in her plump chest. Conquering the world is our mother's plan, but it seems that you haven't done enough, sister. Ice Dragon Zaka was confused. It's so strange. Is my elder sister dizzy by the high temperature? The last time I saw her, she was still very dissatisfied with me. What are you saying? I'm only 1 step away from conquering the world. Desert Dragon Zaka vowed that she was a small step away from achieving her mother's ultimate goal. She is about to finish this small step. To be specific, it's to get married to my dear love. The prince, the Starwing Knights, and the weird twin witches in the South Forest are not worth mentioning compared with this goal. As long as I'm with my dear, there's no problem that can't be solved. 1 month, I will conquer the world. Desert Dragon Zaka laughed. It's great to think of conquering the world as a honeymoon. Dear. Ice Dragon Zaka keenly caught the keyword. In the whole continent, apart from their 4 sisters, where are the other dragons? In addition to her and her silly sister Desert Dragon Zaka, where do other dear exist? Come on, even their great mother, the original dragon, is actually single. Yes, I found it. Desert Dragon Zaka held up her sister's face, imagining that this was Yunshi's face, and kissed him warmly. I'm not a child. Ice Dragon Zaka resisted the sudden intimacy of her sister, and showed an angry expression like a child. Elder sister, are you in the period of estrus? Yes, that's the only way to explain it. My sister, who had a low IQ, went out for a walk and was beaten to the ground. After coming back, she entered the estrus period. Before she hatched from the egg, although her sister was a little careless, she did her best to complete the task. How could she suddenly become so stupid? Dear. Except for the four sisters of Zaka, there are no creatures in the world comparable to them. The four Zakas will be the master of the earth, sky, and sea of the whole world. They will dominate the world and wait for their mother to wake up. The purpose of their birth is to turn the whole world into the kingdom of dragons. Desert Dragon Zaka has achieved more than half of this goal. The western desert area, the northern ice field area, half of the eastern human territory, and a small half of the dense forest in the south have all been under the rule of the dragons. Finally, there are only two forces against the dragons. Descendants of the ancient Assyrian kingdom, the twin witches, descendants of the forgotten ruins, the last human kingdom. Didn't her sister say that she wanted to solve the last human kingdom before she left? How did she get burned back? Sister, you will have a brother-in-law in the future. Desert Dragon Zaka pinched Ice Dragon Zaka's little face. As the eldest sister of the four sisters, she is the largest of the four sisters in height and chest. It's probably the only advantage of being a sister. Ice Dragon Zaka's head just reached her chest. Brother-in-law. Sister, how can you find someone? Ice Dragon Zaka felt that she had heard something more shocking than the end of the world. Does her stupid sister have a lover? No way. No, when did it happen? There was no trace before she hatched. Is it a lover in the air, or a lover only in dreams? Yes, according to normal reasoning, there is no living creature on this continent that can become my elder sister, Desert Dragon Zaka's lover. So, there's only one truth. Ice Dragon Zaka looked at her sister with sympathy. Ah, my sister has gone nuts. Hey, I know what you're thinking. It's rare that Desert Dragon Zaka was smart once. Just looking at her sister's incredible expression, she knew that her sister didn't believe her words at all. However, the truth can stand any doubt. Her love with Shaheen can stand any test. Sister, why do you laugh so strangely? For the first time since birth, Ice Dragon Zaka feels more and more wrong. Children don't talk about love. You're 100 years early. I'll tell you, love is a very hot, very sweet, and very honeyed thing. Desert Dragon Zaka laughed foolishly, and her reason was completely lost. Next, she explained how she met her doomed lover, how she was proposed, how she tested each other, and how she finally fought until the end of the war. For her, these memories are irreplaceable treasures, and they are medals to be proud of. At the same time, it is also a declaration. She, the elder sister of the four Zakas, is no longer single. She has her other half. Listening to her sisters show off, Ice Dragon Zaka first doubted, and then made sure that her sister was cheated. Sister, I think you've been cheated. Although it's cruel to her stupid sister, Zaka thought it necessary to bring her back from her unrealistic love fantasy. This man, no, he should not be a human. He is absolutely cheating you. Impossible. Desert Dragon Zaka looked at her sister angrily. Her dear is so kind and gentle. How can he be cheating her? He is not only elegant but also has a strong force. At the same time, he is devoted to her. He is absolutely a gentleman. Well, sister, do you remember carefully that he even said a word to marry you? Ice Dragon Zaka discovered for the first time that it was so pleasant to throw ice-cold water on other people's hearts. Of course, I'm just caring about my sister. There is no envy at all, oh. Of course Desert Dragon Zaka suddenly jammed. Oh, he didn't say it. Too bad, too careless. Why did I come back without confirmation? I believe him. Biting her teeth, Desert Dragon Zaka had an expression of never giving in. Well, I'll take 10,000 steps back. Did he hug you or kiss you? This time, Ice Dragon Zaka was elated. She knew that her stupid sister, her so-called love, will only be in the dream. The so-called lover this time may even be just a pure misunderstanding. Yes. This time, Desert Dragon Zaka replied without hesitation. It's not just hugging. When they were rolling around on the earth together, everything was seen by him. Whoa whoa whoa. I'm an unmarried lady. It's a big loss. Ice Dragon Zaka showed an expression of the world is about to end, and rubbed her forehead. Yes, I believe him. I like him. I will not marry without him. Although Desert Dragon Zaka was careless, she was very dedicated on this point. I like him, so I will not let go of him. So, whether it's illness or health, whether it's poverty or wealth, would you like to be with him? Do you have the confidence to go hand in hand with him and never separate? No matter what kind of test you meet, you will be faithful. Ice Dragon Zaka asked her sister. How can we get sick? We are the dominators. Of course, he has completed my test and I will fulfill my agreement. I am Desert Dragon Zaka. With each answer, the smile on Desert Dragon Zaka's face became more and more brilliant. Yes, no doubt at all. She's in love. Even the world looks so beautiful in her eyes at this moment. She is helpless, looking at her sister's enchanted appearance. Ice Dragon Zaka sighed and finally came up with the last trump card. What if he had other women he liked? What? Desert Dragon Zaka erupted in an instant. The star of the sand was spinning and roaring. No room for a third party. I'll kill her. Well, seeing her sister's crazy look, Ice Dragon Zaka showed a happy smile. Just now, she was really upset. If there is such a perfect man in the world, how can he ask her silly elder sister to marry him? There must be problems with this proposal. So she had to help her sister not to fall into the fire. Well, calm down. Let's discuss the conquest of the world. I don't care about such a trivial thing. We'll go to him and ask him now. Desert Dragon Zaka had long forgotten the plan of world conquest. She took her sister and ran out of the dragon's nest in a hurry. On the head of the sleeping original dragon, the blade-shaped green light shone fierce light. The last 2 eggs began to absorb more power of the original giant dragon and accelerate the hatching. Soon after, Desert Dragon Zaka, who rushed to the city, opened her mouth and looked at the arena with only one big pit left. Shaheen. The champion of this competition. Of course, he won the title of the champion knight. The last battle was really a disaster. We all saw the sword light. It was a miracle. Well, where did he go? I heard that after winning the title of the champion knight, he goes back to his hometown. It is said that he goes back to his hometown to get married. Around the ruins of the original arena, people talked about the mysterious strong man Shaheen, who came out of nowhere and defeated his powerful sister to win the champion knight. Next to them are a group of sad-looked merchants, who are all the merchants who run the gambling party of the championship night competition. Originally, it was a chance to make a lot of money. Who could have thought that someone secretly made an astronomical bet for Shaheen when everyone thought that Zero would dominate the championship night competition with absolute advantage? In the future, never let Augur bet. Looking at their empty money bags, the businessmen who were robbed 90% of the profits by a mysterious augur swore together. Back home to get married. Desert Dragon Zaka's face turned pale. She suddenly had great doubts about the whole world. Why, didn't you say you'd like to be with me forever? Yunshi, I never said that. Didn't you say we'll live together forever and never to be separated? Yunshi, it's just a 24-hour date. Ah, Ice Dragon Zaka sighed. Although she knew it was probably this result for a long time, looking at her sister's expression, she would still feel sad. I don't believe it. After the initial period of depression, Desert Dragon Zaka suddenly clenched her teeth, raised her head, and looked at the sky with some golden-red luster. Sister, don't be too persistent. I just don't believe it. He will leave me like that. Desert Dragon Zaka cried out word for word. Shaheen, answer me. Why do you break our engagement? No matter where you go, I will find you and marry you. In the palace, Yunxi, who secretly went out for a walk and had a date with a mysterious desert tribe girl for a day, was lying in his study with an expression of lovelessness. The Starwings had drained all his energy, so that when he finally took away the trophy of the competition, his consciousness was in a trance, and he made up an excuse of, I will go home to get married, and ran away. The beautiful trophy was thrown into the king's secret room and had become a black history he tried to forget hardly. Prince, what's wrong? Ling Ling rode on Yunxi, banging Yunxi's aching shoulders with her small fists. Give me the milk. At this moment, Yunxi felt that he needed to regain strength. Ling Ling's face turned red all of a sudden, and she answered in a voice smaller than that of a mosquito, Okay, I'm going to prepare the sweet milk. On the eve of the king's wedding, the grandest festival of the moonlight ceremony, people reveled all night, turning the whole city into a city that never sleeps. Both businesses and civilians have fallen into the atmosphere of a carnival. In the crowd, two figures seem to be a little out of place with a happy atmosphere. People subconsciously separate for the two people, just like two white sharks swimming in a group of small fish. That's the instinct gap on the level of life, the horrible breath that can be felt with the naked eyes. Sister, why don't you give up? Ace Dragon Zaka looks curiously at the people around her and the desert tribe-style cape she was wearing. Tonight, there are a lot of people wearing this kind of clothes, and many businesses are making and selling them all night. The people who lead this trend are no one but the murderous-looking desert dragon Zaka, as well as the prince who has taken the champion of the competition and the heart of a girl. The names of Zero and Shaheen have begun to be sung by poets. The mysterious and powerful sisters make people have unlimited reverie involuntarily. Even though the Real Desert merchants from the Western Desert all have an ignorant expression. They haven't heard that in the tribe they live in, there are sisters called Zero and Shaheen. If there were such people, the whole desert tribe would have been celebrating. How can they still know nothing about this? Not here, and not there. Desert Dragon Zaka grabbed the roasted squid with both hands, she was eating and drinking, and patrolling around. When you are lovelorn, when you are under great pressure, you need to eat squid to supplement energy. Squid is rich in protein and chewy. It is a first-class food whether it is a snack or a portion of staple food. I'm sure he's still in the city. Just find him and the problem will be solved. The anger burned in Desert Dragon Zaka's eyes. It is her last kindness to human beings that she hasn't destroyed the whole city with her angry flames. However, her patience is limited. If Shaheen hasn't come out in 3 days, she will turn into the evil dragon that rampaged the continent, and bury the last kingdom of mankind with her sister Ice Dragon Zaka. I don't think he will jump out himself. Even if we find him, the problem will only get bigger. Elder sister, it's better to give up. Love doesn't exist. Face reality. Ice Dragon Zaka couldn't bear it anymore. Our task is to conquer the world, there is no time to play the game of love. You don't understand, Desert Dragon Zaka shook her head and touched her sister's head, because you're still a kid and you haven't experienced real love. Since I like him, how can I give him up? The one I like is the one I love, the one I want to be together with. No matter what race he is or where he comes from, it's my choice. From the moment he passed my test, the engagement was established. Ice Dragon Zaka looked at her elder sister in confusion. She seems to understand what she said, and she seems to not understand. Yes, she really can't understand. Her sister's expression seems so focused, even if she is eating squid, and it also exudes a mature taste. She felt such a sister is very strange, but also, she felt a little envy about it. Even though she was gnashing her teeth and angry, Desert Dragon Zaka at this moment gave her a feeling, as if she is in a world Ice Dragon Zaka doesn't understand. Can love really bring such a big change to people? Although she is the elder sister, she was just born earlier, and because of her premature birth, her strength as a dragon is actually the weakest of the 4 Zaka sisters, so she has the Star of the Sand to make up for her weakness. But such a sister has what she doesn't have. Love? Don't get it. Sister. When did she become so feminine? Sister, is your ability able to freeze the whole city? After walking dozens of turns in the streets of the city, Desert Dragon Zaka still found no trace of Yunshi, which made her angrily propose a very feasible plan. Yeah, that's my violent sister. Ace Dragon Zaka smiled with absolute confidence. No problem, please. Well, just give him 3 days. If he doesn't come out in 3 days, you use the forbidden spell, Iceland, and I summon my Star of the Sand to smash the city. Desert Dragon Zaka held the god weapon tightly in her hand and swore to heaven, Shaheen, no matter where you hide in this city, I will find you. Yawn. Yunshi lay in the king's secret room, looked at the mysterious ceiling and stretched. Tomorrow will be a new day. It will be a very important day for him and for the kingdom. Good night, White Moon. Touching the head of the young bride beside him, Yunshi closed his eyes. Dad, marriage, it's not right. White Moon listened to the whispers of the ancient gods around her, with a certain determined expression on her tiny face. Dad is White Moon's, no one can take him away from me. In the station of the Starwing Knights, the girls returned to the head office with their own tasks. They followed Hua Yu's order, and collected the information about the mysterious queen from their families. After thousands of years, the secret is no longer a secret, but no one can tell it, just follow the tradition silently, complete the sacrifice and agreement. In thousands of years, many dukes and counts' daughters became the king's lovers, leaving the truth of the so-called wedding in their notes. Unbelievable, the truth is, the blood of the ancient gods. Hua Yu's heartbeat began to speed up unprecedentedly. It turns out that this is the wedding, the origin of all tragedies. Chapter 734, Dawn of Terror, 1. In the sky, the golden sunlight finally tore the last dark sky curtain and scattered on the whole kingdom. A brilliant golden red sun rises slowly from below the horizon, announcing the dawn. Bang! 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 It's morning, but some people are setting off fireworks, and there is more than one place. Most of the people in the city have spontaneous fireworks for today's arrival. This is a salute for the birth of the king. On the top of the palace, the tallest watchtower, Yunshi sighed at the people already looming in the street below. Finally, it started. Prince, this is your destiny. Please take your up responsibility. The royal augur looks at him with a smile and then looks at the room with a special rose essence. The astrological tower is the highest building in the whole kingdom, and also the residence of the royal augurs in the past dynasties. At the same time, it also serves as another function that is not important at all, the place where the royal augur and his majesty tryst. Well, it's the tryst. As the person who has mastered the king's biggest secret, and the executor of the ceremony, royal augurs have been the king's lovers for almost all generations. No one will give this crucial position to someone they are not familiar with. Most of the time, the royal augurs are related to His Majesty. Sometimes, it's His Majesty's aunt. Sometimes, it's His Majesty's elder sister. Sometimes, it's His Majesty's younger sister. Even one royal augur was the mother of His Majesty. They, as royalty, give up their identities and hide behind the scenes, guarding the kingdom in their own way. Their feelings for the king are complex, but no one doubts their loyalty to the king. Every royal augur is carrying a heavy darkness. Only in the highest room of the kingdom, with their brother, or, when they are skin to skin, we can catch a trace of the warmth in the dark fate. No one can think of it. In other people's eyes, the mysterious royal augur are distinguished, inviolable, but every one of them and His Majesty will make love in the highest place of the kingdom. At this point, the young prince seems to have no idea, so there was no doubt when she invited him to the secret room. He didn't doubt anything. What a lovely prince. Even if you commit the crime of killing your father and marrying your mother, even if you will eventually degenerate into the deepest darkness, I will continue to watch you. The palpitation of the chest is the best proof. It is the intuition of the royal augur. In the past, generations of royal augurs have also been here, watching their favorite people step on the throne and become the only dominator of the whole kingdom. What kind of mood are they in when they are standing here with the people they like, looking at the vast earth and sky side by side? Robin didn't know before, but now she seems to understand a little bit. No matter the earth, the sky, or the whole kingdom, they are not as good as the man beside her. The kings are people who are doomed to die. They are people who have 1/10 of the lifespan of a common hero-rank human. They are all watchmen. On the day when they inherit the position of the king, their life begins to count down. Even the most powerful and determined knight could not escape the whisper of the ancient gods. They will die under the blood moon sooner or later. In there, the queen is waiting for them to complete the final vow in another way. I understand. I will not shirk this responsibility. Yunshi reaches out his fingertips, and the golden sun falls into his hands from the eastern horizon, just as the whole sun falls into his hands. Seeing this scene, Robin's heart was suddenly moved. She should be the most despised of the so-called tradition among all the royal augurs. Even though she does have a blood relationship with the prince now, she just looks at the prince quietly and will not interfere or change his fate. Fate is unpredictable. If you predict a bad future and try to change it, it may lead to 10 times, 100 times worse results. This is the advice written in the notes by ancient augurs. Robin thinks that the best choice is to choose to do nothing. She will not change the future, and will not be moved. As long as she doesn't make the same mistakes as the past royal augurs, as long as she leaves the stage at the beginning, there will be no problem. Now, Robin finds herself wrong. Hidden in the dark all the time, her hobby is just flirting with ordinary people who don't know where their fates are going. For a long time, she just held the calm attitude of, this child is so pitiful, and he is about to embark on the road of not returning to the prince. She just wanted to be a quiet observer away from the stage, but found that her heart can no longer be calm at this moment. She was touched by the light bathing in Yunshi. The sunrise sun and Yunshi are almost completely overlapped. Yunshi at the moment gives Robin a delusion. He is the sun. Even if he doesn't do anything, just standing there quietly, he also radiates dazzling light, which makes people unable to look directly at him. Bathed in the golden red sunshine, he seems to have a pair of invisible wings behind him, which wrap her body and mind and release the warm breath. For Robin, who stayed in the dark for too long and saw too much tragedy of the kings from the long river of fate, the light was so pure and warm. At that moment, Robin was hopelessly occupied, unable to extricate herself. This room, is there a curse? Robin's fingernails almost stabbed into her hands. Nothing would happen if she didn't come to this room. Why did she bring him here? Is it something left in this room by the previous royal augurs that influenced her judgment? You are all dead from long ago, my predecessors. What? Yunshi turns around in doubt. Although he has turned his back to the sun, the sunlight bathing in Yunshi is increasing, which makes Robin's heart beat faster. Ah, curse, it must be a curse. Oh, it's the fault of this room. Chapter 735, Dawn of Terror, 2, in the Station of the Starwing Knights. All members of the Starwing Knights, except Mumu, who is going to be Princess White Moon's dowry, and Robin, who is preparing for the wedding ceremony with the prince in the tower, are here. Everyone, are you ready? Next, I want to announce something. Hua Yu showed a complex expression on her face. She has been committed to the truth of the queen. However, she did not expect that, in the end, it could be traced back to the age of Assyria, which had become a taboo name. Why do the kings marry the queen of the mysterious tribe that no one knows? Why do the queens only appear one day at the wedding, and they will never appear in front of people again? This secret was finally exposed by Hua Yu's investigation. Yes, the kings are all tight-mouthed knights, never divulging the truth about the queen. The problem is that human beings can dream. The kings who swear to the blood moon will occasionally talk in their dreams. Then, who can hear these dream words, who will be on the king's pillow, watching the king, and recording these dream words? Their identities are mostly similar. Like Hua Yu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, they are mostly the daughters of the upper-class aristocrats of the kingdom. The daughter of the duke, the daughter of the count, many of them are even royal branches. They will know when they are very young, they have a certain mission. The queen will not have a baby with the king. The queen who only appears at the wedding cannot undertake this mission of continuing the kingdom. It is their mission to give birth to descendants for the royal family and to guarantee the nobility of their blood. They are the lover of the king, the mother of the prince, and should have been the princess of the kingdom. However, the kings all followed the tradition. None of them married their lovers. As if to do so would be to betray the great queen of Assyria. They can only hide in the dark, even can't tell others their identity, silently fulfill their responsibilities as lovers. Only the best one of them will take the responsibility to be the royal augur and master the secret. They should be the king's princess, but they can't be with the king. For a long time, as lovers of the kings, they gradually realized some truth and recorded it in unknown notes. Hua Yu, from the library of her family, found the notes of her elders who used to be the king's lovers, and peeped into the darkest side of the kingdom. All that is recorded in this is something that the kingdom never wrote in the history books. It's not the history of the kingdom, it's just the voice of a woman to the one she loves. Even though these voices never reached the king's ears. He went to that place again. I don't know where it is, but he will disappear for a period of time every month. Did he go to the queen? I'm really jealous of the queen. She didn't do anything, but she took his heart away so easily. I know that his heart is not with me, I will never get his heart, only his body. Even so, I want to stay with him. Is that our destiny? Strange, too strange. His body is so strong, but it has declined day by day. It has been a long time since the last time he touched me. He's been there more and more, and he's getting weaker and weaker, like he's being drained of his life. He's getting older faster than me, a mortal. This shouldn't happen, but no matter how I ask him, he just shakes his head and says nothing. Today is the first time I heard him talk in his sleep. Maybe it was because of his weak body. His sleeping time is more and more. The next prince has been appointed. I will accompany him to the end of his life. Ancient gods, blood moon. What are these things? Has he been dealing with these things? The queen, what is it? Why does she take away my most important man? He left. Last night with me, he seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Still, so silent and uninteresting, as I knew him when he was young. He still didn't tell me his secret in the end. But I don't regret being his lover and having children for him. I still don't know the secret. I hope that if my children inherit this fate, they can write down what they found. This is the diary left by the family's first ancestor who became the king's lover and gave birth to the prince. As the kings will leave their own notes in the puppet room, their lovers have left similar things in their families. Queen, you are my hope, the light of my life, and I swear my allegiance to you, and I am honored to bear this fate. This agreement, as long as the royal bloodline is still inherited, it will never fail. The great queen is the master of the forgotten ruins. Your kingdom will never fall, just like the moon in the sky. Your beautiful figure, from the first time I saw you, I made up my mind to protect you even at the expense of everything I had. The kings are all excellent knights, with the enviable power of the bloodline and the god weapons as an inheritance. They, naturally, are loved by people. Most of the time, the king is the strongest hero in the whole kingdom, and even in his sleep, he doesn't say anything. Only in the last stage of life, when they become weak and go to death, will they occasionally leak out that terrible secret. In thousands of years, the king was born and died, and the secret that should not have been known is no longer a secret, but all the people who know the secret have hidden the secret. The queen is not human. The queen is a demon that devours the king's life. At the same time, she is the one the king loves. Chapter 736, Dawn of Terror, 3. The leader of the Starwing Knights, Hua Yu, looked at the other girls with a sad look and her steady voice almost choked. At first, I was going to accept this fate. The girls of the Starwing Knights, one by one, fell into silence. Yes, no matter how unwilling they are, no matter how reluctant they are, as long as the prince decides to marry the mysterious bride, then they can only accept such fate in the end. Even though the bride doesn't look mature. Even though all of them have known the prince for a long time, they are confident that their love for the prince will surpass Princess White Moon who came from nowhere. But the queen was not any of them. Princess White Moon robbed the man they loved most. They couldn't accept that. Many of them have been found drunk in the bar recently. Only Hua Yu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, still refuses to admit defeat, and they just try their best to cooperate with her. Today is the day when the prince gets married. The investigation of Hua Yu also finally came to a conclusion. Apart from the girls who have investigated the truth of the bride with Hua Yu, most of the members of the Starwing Knights are confused and uneasy. If the queen is really the descendant of some mysterious family, no, it doesn't matter if it's not. Even if she's just a village girl from a remote village, I'll admit that she's qualified to be a queen. Hua Yu looks at the bloody notes in her hands, which are the last traces left by the lovers of the kings from generation to generation. They all loved the king, many of them were the king's childhood sweetheart. However, they all became losers. No one really got the king's love. Even if they gave birth to children for the king, there was no exception. Every generation of princes inherited the excellent blood of the previous kings. They showed outstanding talent from birth, and even became hero-ranked knights before they even ascended to the throne. A girl who grows up with such a prince will fall in love with the prince, isn't it a natural thing? Hua Yu herself, also because she likes the current prince and is ready to become his lover, formed the Starwing Knights and recruited so many partners with similar thoughts. If White Moon, like the queen in the past, only appears once in a hurry with a veil on the wedding day, and then disappears forever, Hua Yu may have accepted her fate as a lover. She thought that she had a long time to change her fate and stay with the king. As long as we can stay together forever, it doesn't matter if we don't get married. Anyway, the queen who married the prince is just a symbol. This too naive fantasy is recorded in the diary of almost every childhood sweetheart who becomes the lover of the king. The wedding of the king and queen is only one day. And the time they spend with the king can be counted from the age of the king, or the prince, accompanying him until his death. Decades versus one day. Childhood sweetheart versus the suddenly appearing and disappearing queen. In any case, it's a battle that can't be lost. It's amazing that all the children's sweethearts have lost. They have lost completely. In the diary that Hua Yu saw, all the women were full of hope from the beginning, had never escaped this cycle and thought that they would never repeat the mistakes of their predecessors. At the end of the diary, they recalled their lives, but never regretted loving the king or choosing to be his lover. The only thing they don't agree with is the queen. As the truth was slowly pieced together by them, more than one of them found the flaw about the queen's identity, and finally completed the puzzle about the queen from the dream words of dozens of kings. The queen is not human. Not only is she not a human being, not even a living creature. She is immortal. She sleeps in the underground lake that only the king can enter for a long time. Only on the day of marriage can she appear in the sun by using the puppet body. The whispers of the ancient gods are with her. The cause of death of every king is not natural decline, but swallowed up by the power of the terrible ancient gods. The root of all this can be traced back thousands of years to the most prosperous queen in the continent, the most powerful queen in the world. Assyria, the first kingdom where the king once served. The queen of Assyria, with her eternal beauty, has been sleeping on the throne of a giant stupid spider for thousands of years. Yes, that's the truth. I swear by the Starwing Knights, everything I say is true. Looking at the members of the Starwing Knights, Hua Yu slowly told all the truth that she had found out. How could that child not be human? Not long ago, Xiaomi had held White Moon in her arms. She looked at Hua Yu and shook her head desperately. She is not only not a human being, but also an undead queen. Mei Lan's body trembled slightly. This truth is amazing. It's a horror story. Prince, do you know the truth? Will you marry her after knowing the truth? Oh, my poor prince. Ling Ling sighed. If the prince marries her, he will die. Xiao Chao, the deputy leader of the Starwing Knights, said, "This is the key to everything. Yes, if it goes on like this, the prince will die. If he marries the queen of Assyria, everyone will die. She is a cursed bride, an inevitable fate." The voice of Hua Yu becomes more and more low, just like the calm before the storm. For a while, the whole station of the Starwing Knights was filled with an atmosphere of suffocation. Chapter 737, Dawn of Terror, 4, No Way. Ling Ling was the first to raise her hand and shout out. Don't let the prince marry her. The fool's action power is the fastest indeed. Mei Lan thinks the impulse of Ling Ling is so lovely for the first time. Yes, in my judgment, it is not right to marry the queen. Now that Ling Ling had said so, Mei Lan had immediately made the same speech. Objection. 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 There are first, second, third, fourth. In the end, almost all the members of the Starwing Knights raised their hands. This is probably the fastest and most orderly meeting of all the meetings of the Starwing Knights. I know how you feel. Hua Yu took a deep breath, and her white cheeks even glowed a little red. Everything is worth it. She never thought that there was such a big secret in the queen's identity. This secret has been hidden for thousands of years. Even if someone occasionally finds out about it, it has never been revealed. Including the king's lovers who finally cracked the queen's secret, no one has ever told the secret to others, only leaving the truth in their most secret diary. For the queen is the king's choice and the king's agreement. Thousands of years later, the non-existent queen has become a part of the kingdom. They can't reveal the secret, let the king lose his reputation, let people know that there is such a dark side to the wise and great king in their eyes. Even if they knew the secret, they had no power to change their fate. No one forced the king to marry the queen. Every generation of the kings voluntarily performed the oath with the queen of Assyria, and was finally swallowed up by the ancient god. As lovers of the kings, they can't stop the secret agreement between the kings and the queen of Assyria. The only thing they can do is try to bear the king's children and continue the bloodline of their loved ones. This is their only salvation. Because they love the king so much, they can't say even if they know that the king will fulfill the promise of death. Besides, apart from this secret agreement with the queen of Assyria, the kings have never made any mistakes because of their selfish desires, have they? In the eyes of all people, including those who love them, they are all great kings and heroes of this kingdom. Perfect heroes don't exist in the world. Even if they have such a secret, they are still outstanding kings, aren't they? Silently guard the secrets of their loved ones, and take them to the grave. It's also their duty as lovers of the king. After discovering the secret, they would even prefer the king born with a tragic fate, guarded him like their own children, and watched him to the end. If in the end, their loved ones will only become tragic heroes, then at least they can help them continue their family's bloodline. If you can, it's better to have more children. This is their tenderness to the one they love. However, Hua Yu does not recognize such gentleness, let alone such a fate. Everyone, can you watch the prince die? Hua Yu has never felt what a great mission she has undertaken. No. Absolutely not. We're going to stop him. The answer of the Starwing Knights is exactly the voice of Hua Yu. That kind of fate should be abandoned. Why did the Starwing Knights gather around the prince? They are all looking forward to falling in love with the prince, and developing a hot, intimate relationship with the prince. Yes, just like those lovers who write down diaries and give birth to children for their king. But the girls of the Starwing Knights were decidedly different from these lovers of the king. The Starwing Knights are not weak aristocratic girls. They are the most powerful knights in the kingdom with steel discipline and tactical ability. They are super-armed groups that dare to fight against the dragon. Any one of them has the potential to be a hero. They are all the elites among the elites. They are all gifted talents. Before they joined the Starwing Knights, they all had absolute confidence in their own strength. The Starwing Knights, from the day of its official establishment, are knights belonging to the prince alone. They are his sword, his shield, and his steel, knights only obeying his orders. Remember the oath to join the Starwing Knights. Hua Yu put her right hand in her heart and repeated the vows that every girl who joined the Starwing Knights would make. No matter where the prince is, I will be with him. Where the prince's sword points is our battlefield. We don't need to ask who the enemy is, we just need to ask where the enemy is. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. The voice of Hua Yu is getting louder and firmer. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. Xiao Chao pulls out her god weapon and takes an oath. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. Ling Ling holds up his full chest and vows bravely. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. Mei Lan bites her lips. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. The Starwing Knights fights for the prince. One voice after another joined in, like a stream converging together, becoming a mighty river, and finally becoming an unstoppable wave, echoing in the residence of the Starwing Knights. Yes, we will not succumb to such fate. We want to change the outcome of this tragedy, we want to save the people we love. No matter what the cost is, even if it's to launch a rebellion, we will not hesitate. Don't sacrifice the prince's life for peace, whoa. Chapter 738, Dawn of Terror, 5, On the tower, the dawn between the prince and the augur is sweet and hot. In the Starwing Knights, the dawn belonging to the young knights is vigorous, symbolizing the arrival of a revolution. In the forgotten ruins away from the crowd, or even forgotten by people, the dawn has not yet arrived. Wearing a white wedding dress, the queen held the wedding bouquet in her hand, standing quietly in the forgotten ruins. In the underground lake, the young queen of Assyria sleeps on the throne of the giant stupid spider with a sweet smile. They are all waiting for a certain moment. Blood Moon, hanging on the 2-1 queen of Assyria, as always exudes a palpitating breath. Hiss! 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 The whispers of the ancient gods echoed in the ears of the 2 Assyria queens. The young queen of Assyria, who was immersed in happiness, completely ignored these whispers. On behalf of the happiness, she is choosing a new path, and she is gaining her own hope. In contrast, the queen standing under the blood moon was unable to leave the forgotten ruins. She had more and more vivid bloodstains on her abdomen. The time that had been frozen is coming back to her. Even the original silent forgotten ruins was also changed little by little. The old ruins began to emerge. It is a memory that has long been lost in the long river of time. The remains of this great kingdom once carved brilliance. The memory that has long disappeared in the dust of history is recovering. The first mural depicts the birth of the queen. The priests in golden robes sprinkled the golden gravel for the queen, and the ancient rituals of Assyria detected her unprecedented magic bloodline with a wild smile. The former queen gently stroked her child, placed the crown on her, which represented the successor of the queen of Assyria, and announced that the child of Assyria's destiny had come to the world. The second mural depicts the queen's girlhood. The princess, who had just grown up to half of her mother's height, had been able to suspend herself with her huge magic power. She was surrounded by spirits of fire and ice and snow, which symbolizes that she is the darling of the elements of the world. The queen, who had begun to grow old, looked at the princess with doting eyes, and her spirit deteriorated day by day. Compared with the vigorous princess, the queen, like the sunset, had gone to the last time of her life. In the third mural, the princess finally inherited the throne of the queen, took the crown representing the queen, held the magic wand of 7 colors, and vowed to all ancestors to lead the kingdom of Assyria to glory. Beside her, there wasn't the old queen, only knights kneeling in front of her and swearing allegiance to her. They looked at the queen with enthusiasm, as if there were burning flames in their eyes. The priests in golden robes stood beside the queen and showed some unusual expressions for some unknown reason. In the fourth mural, the queen became the most dazzling light. The knights united with her as the center, cleared all the obstacles of the mainland, and really completed the great cause of unifying the mainland. Even the mighty dragon made an agreement with the queen to leave the continent. This is the most glorious age of the kingdom of Assyria. The Millennium Queen is invincible. People firmly believed that the queen is the embodiment of the goddess of victory. Under her leadership, the prosperity of the kingdom will continue forever. The priests in golden robes looked at the greatest queen with complicated eyes. For some reason, there are bloodstains on their robes. Something invisible seems to be born quietly. In the fifth mural, the queen showed a sad expression. She had trouble. One by one, the knights rushed to raise their swords and shields to show the queen their strength. The princes from the desert tribe sent the most precious animals and treasures just to meet the queen. A young priest wearing a golden robe, but with blood-stained traces behind him, boldly sent the scepter of divine power to the queen and said something to the queen. In the end, the queen shook her head and refused everyone. The lover she wants is not any of them. The most loyal knight, the richest desert prince, and the most intelligent genius priest were not chosen by her to become her lover. In the sixth mural, the blood moon comes. The priests in golden robes went mad one after another. The chief priest, holding the sacred scepter, laughed as his beard turned into twisted tentacles and his face into an octopus. The Millennium Queen turned the wand in her hand into a 7-color dagger, killing the once powerful priests one by one. The scarlet blood stained the queen's robe and mingled with the blood around her eyes. The bloody queen killed all the fallen knights who betrayed her and the priests who became monsters, but could not change the fate of Assyria. The once prosperous city has become a piece of ruins, full of sacrificed corpses, as well as unknown creatures born from the corpses. Under the blood moon, no one lives forever. The queen desperately grasped her broken sword and ran through her belly. There, a newborn baby is slowly opening her eyes, showing deep and dark eyes. The giant stupid spider falls from the blood moon, guarding the bloody queen, the witch chosen by the ancient gods. She who gazes at the abyss is also gazed at by the abyss. In the endless killing and blood, the queen who lost everything eventually became a part of the blood moon and put on the wedding dress with countless blood. The queen's wedding, not to marry anyone, but a symbol of the queen's fall in the blood moon. The ancient king's city has become a ruin. The living creatures who died in the city can't rest in peace. They transformed into monsters who look like black swords and axes, wandering in the ruins where they used to live. The Millennium Queen fell into an eternal sleep, but she was not dead. As the years passed, even death seemed to disappear under the light of the blood moon. Until this dawn. The sun is coming. Even if she can't see the sun rising from the horizon, the Millennium Queen standing under the blood moon still stares at the far east. There is a wedding going on there. The dawn is coming. In the palace. The little white moon is wearing a beautiful dress that fits her body perfectly. Unlike the black wedding dress used to block the influence of the sun in the past, White Moon's wedding dress is pure white, with only a dark red gem inlaid on her chest. The skirt is slightly opened, and White Moon's body is wrapped by layers of lace, making her look like a fairy from a fairy tale. Princess, you must be the most beautiful bride in the world today. The palace official made heartfelt praise. Prince, it seems that I can understand why you are fascinated by her. She is like a fairy. Ah, my little sister is so beautiful. Wearing a slightly smaller dress, only the ornament on the chest was replaced by a silver gemstone, Mumu was joy around White Moon like a wagging little puppy. I like this dress. The young queen of Assyria looked at her white wedding dress with longing eyes. She looks forward to the wedding with the prince, and the moment when the prince takes off the wedding dress by himself. With the help of Mumu, she graduated with full marks from the lessons called the wedding. She has practiced everything with Mumu. What she should do, what she should endure, and what she should face on the wedding night, she has known everything. Today is the day when she put the knowledge to use. Boom! 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 72 consecutive cannons exploded in the sky, and the king's bell rang loudly. It was the bell of blessing, the wedding bell that would ring only once in one king's life. The bells echoed, and through the set sequence, they passed from the palace to the farthest border of the kingdom. In the light of dawn, almost all the people of the kingdom knew the sacred news. Their prince, who has grown up, is about to marry the legendary beautiful bride, ascend his throne and become the strongest knight to guard the kingdom. Today, he will be the strongest king. On the bell tower, Yunshi put down the hammer of the bell, took a deep breath, and his eyes became stable. The wedding is about to start. In the residence of the Starwing Knights, the eyes of the girl knights were burning with flames. The wedding is about to begin. In the palace, White Moon combed her long, soft hair and smiled happily. To get married. It's like a dream. The two Zakas stood in the crowded street, looking at the cannon shots exploding in the sky with different expressions. Humph, it's just a marriage. 3 days later, it will be a funeral. Desert Dragon Zaka is in a bad mood. That's right. This kingdom is ours. The prince will have to count down for his life when he becomes king. Ace Dragon Zaka put her white fingertips on her lips and blew a chilling wind of ice and snow, which lowered the temperature of the whole street by 10 degrees. In the distant forgotten ruins. In the cold underground lake. The bloody adult queen wearing a white wedding dress. The young queen who slept on the huge stupid spider's web, intoxicated with happiness. The blood moon is hanging high. The dawn is coming. Carré. Carré. A pumpkin-shaped carriage drives into the gate of the royal palace. Green gems are engraved on the rolling body. The whole frame is composed of green vines. The closed pumpkin shell slowly opens to reveal the seats inside. Let's go. Yunshi reaches out to his young bride and smiles at her, who is a little shy and uneasy. White Moon bowed her head and let Yunshi take her to the pumpkin carriage. The carriage is one of the heritages that the current kingdom inherited from Assyria, and a magic treasure that every generation of king and queen will use when they marry. It wasn't someone else who made the pumpkin carriage. It was the Queen of Assyria herself. It was a pure handmade carriage that she imagined in her teenage fantasy. She was eager to go dancing with the prince in a carriage full of fairy tales. Although the appearance is a carriage, it doesn't need a horse to pull it, but it is driven by the strange magic spirits in the shape of the pumpkin. This is a magical creation that can freely drive on the earth, sea, and desert. Wow, what a lovely carriage! Moo, as the bridesmaid, followed White Moon and jumped into the pumpkin carriage. She curiously touched left and right. Moo, don't be naughty. Yunshi gently knocks on Moo's small head with a gentle look. Bridesmaid, it's something that has never happened to a king's wedding in the past. Because of the special identity of the queen, she can't let others get too close to her. In the past, the young queen could only use the poor puppets, put on the airtight black wedding dress and veil that no one could see her face clearly, and sat in the pumpkin carriage with the king to watch the crowd around. No one knows what the queen looks like, and no one can really contact her. That's the secret of the king and the queen of Assyria. Only this time, the queen of Assyria did not need any props to hide her true face. She can walk in the sunshine, show her true appearance, and enjoy all the blessings and praise. All the people who saw the appearance of the young queen, whether they were knights from afar or servants who had been working in the royal palace for a long time, could not help but exclaim, "What a beautiful bride! The prince is so happy to marry such a bride. God, bless the couple. Bless them. The queen is really a peerless little beauty." The queen had also received numerous such praises, but none of them is more sincere than at this moment. Thank you. Holding Yunshi's hand, the little bride lowers her head and feels her heart beating faster and faster. That's what I should do. It's the obligation of the engagement person to send the most perfect puppet to his bride. Yunshi doesn't feel that he has done anything shocking. It's just a little gift from a boy to a girl. In the crowd, in addition to praise, there are other thoughts. The prince used to like this type. Oh, my daughter has just turned 12 this year. The prince may like her. No, after today, we shouldn't call him prince. It's His Majesty. Then, my 9-year-old daughter seems to have hope too. In the streets of the city, there are lots of people. From time to time, magical fireworks are rising in the sky, and colorful patterns are blown out in the sky. In the eyes of all the people, a pumpkin carriage slowly appeared from the palace. In front of the pumpkin carriage, there are all armed knights. This is a long-standing royal guard team, the birthplace of many strong knights. Today, they have taken on a major responsibility again, escorting the prince and queen, who are about to finish their wedding ceremony, to carry out one of the traditions of each sacrifice, the city tour. Once upon a time, it was the happiest time for the young queen sleeping on the throne of the underground lake. Only on this day could she descend to the body of the puppet, disguised as the bride, and sat in the pumpkin carriage, looking at the surrounding crowd and architecture, feeling the charm of the world in the sun. However, today, her eyes are more on the prince holding her hand, intoxicated with it. The world she sees with the black veil is quite different from the world she can enjoy freely now. White Moon's body has a perfect fit with the world, will not be excluded by the world of sunshine. What she sees in her eyes are all beautiful things. All the smells in her nose are delicious. Compared with what she sees and feels today, the so-called festival in the past is so eclipsed. Before today's wedding, for the young queen of Assyria, the world was like the light and shadow saw through the window of the cage. In the endless dark and cold underground lake, such light and shadow can make her heart a little warmer, which is one of her few remaining happinesses. If she had never walked in the world of sunshine like this, been watched by everyone's eyes, and entwined by everyone's blessings. However, there is no if. Once she feels such beautiful sunshine, such a beautiful world, she will never be able to go back. She, who has not come to this world, can endure thousands of years of that kind of life, and think that it's a matter of course. As long as she can endure, everything will be better, and miracles will always appear. It was with such small hopes and expectations that the young queen of Assyria had spent the time of long sleep, like the seeds buried in the cold black land, silently enduring everything. Until finally someone took her hand and led her out of the dark and cold world. She asked him, "Prince, will you touch my darkness? Swear to me, Prince, then you will be king." That's the agreement that all kings will make with the great queen of Assyria, and it's also the reason why this kingdom was founded. The last knight who did not go mad in the rebellion, but kept his original intention to escape the night of the blood moon, carried the wishes of the queen of Assyria, and continued to watch the royal city forgotten in the long river of time as a human being. The kings know what their end will be. They kneel to the giant stupid spider throne and swear to the immortal Millennium Queen under the blood moon. The queen told them all the truth and the consequences. Every part of your body will be the queen's thing. Even if you die, you can't get rid of the queen's curse. If you want to touch the dark side of the queen, then listen to the sound of the blood moon. Only nightmares are eternal. Turn yourself into firewood and burn it. No king refused this fate. Just like Yunshi kissing the back of the young queen's hand, they all bowed down in front of the queen and made a vow. Wedding ceremony, for kings, it's a ceremony to sacrifice their lives and future. For the queen of Assyria, it's a holiday time. It's a sweet, memorable dream when she was still a human. Until Yunshi produced White Moon, which realized the dream that the queen would never realize. Ice and snow were melting. Frozen in the thousands of years of quiet time, the seeds bravely bloomed their own lives, and strived to stretch out small buds on the dark earth. "Prince, we are getting married." The young queen of Assyria holds Yunshi's hand, her face blushing and her heart pumping. "Yes, it is." Yunshi smiles. Since it's an agreement, he has to fulfill it well. Will you? The young queen of Assyria raised her head with a little confusion in her eyes. An agreement is an agreement. Yunshi touched the young queen's head. Since an agreement was made, the ceremony must be completed. It's just like what Robin predicted. It's the tradition of the kings to kill the father and marry the mother. Your Majesty, you have worked hard. Yes. With Yunshi's reply, the heart rate of the young queen of Assyria became faster. Although the body of the puppet had no blood, it was shaking constantly, as if there was a voice about to shout out. Never had such a heartbeat. If this is a dream, do not wake up. Today, I want to be the happiest bride in the world. Sister, look at the sweet couple. Shall we kill them? Wearing a mysterious cloak with a big F symbol behind her, Ice Dragon Zaka made a gesture to the pair on the pumpkin carriage. She almost took out the gas and torch. If Shaheen hasn't appeared in 2 days, I'll set the city on fire. Desert Dragon Zaka looked at the prince and princess on the pumpkin carriage in a murderous way, but when she saw White Moon, she was a little stunned. This little girl looks familiar. I think so too. She seems to give me an uncomfortable feeling. Can we burn them now? Ice Dragon Zaka frowns. It's rare that the sisters reach an agreement on one thing. The little girl in the white wedding dress gave them a strange feeling. It seems that there is a trace of non-human atmosphere around her. How dare you marry such an ominous creature? This prince really wants to die. After smelling the smell of White Moon, Desert Dragon Zaka smiled happily. He must have been unlucky for 10 lives. He must have been a playboy with his foot in too many camps. I feel the same way. I knew he was a bad man at first sight. How can he marry such a young girl? Ice Dragon Zaka sneered, lecher, pervert. Under the protection of the royal guard, the pumpkin carriage where Yunxi, White Moon and Mumu were, began to slowly tour the whole city along the street. Everywhere the carriage went, there were flowers, applause, and cheers. People from the bottom of their hearts blessed the new couple and warmly look forward to the birth of the new king. All the kings who guard the kingdom are near-perfect knights. Apart from the strange habit of never marrying any lovers, their personal force and morality are almost impeccable. They are worthy of the name of knights. Otherwise, they will not let even the lovers who know the truth stay with them and have children for them. Yunxi, the prince of this generation, is the hero who beat back the dragon before he ascended the throne. The people are looking forward to the prince's great achievements together with the Starwing Knights when he becomes king. Fight against the dragon. Maybe the new king can do it. People are so looking forward to giving blessings and applause to today's new newlyweds. The queen is so beautiful. I didn't expect her to be such a peerless beauty. Everything is perfect except for her age. It doesn't matter if girls are a little younger. Girls are developing very fast. She can have children in 2 years. To our Prince and Princess White Moon. All the people who saw Princess White Moon for the first time, except the Zaka sisters, were full of praise and gave all the beautiful words to the mysterious queen. Although she is a little younger, only about 12 years old, her beauty is naturally attractive. Just like the Queen of Assyria 1,000 years ago, the young Queen of Assyria who appeared in the Sunshine World as White Moon easily captured the hearts of countless people. It was the Queen's Majesty who made generations of kings kneel and swear allegiance. It is also today's lovely princess who holds the prince's hand in the pumpkin carriage. Mysterious and pure. White without scale. White Moon, just like her name, has the beauty of pure white and moonlight at the same time, is a perfect match with the Prince Yunxi, who is as dazzling as the sun. Even the members of the Starwing Knights, who were quietly following in the crowd and in charge of the security task, were in a trance when they saw such a white moon. If not for the solid evidence and 100% trust in Huayu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, they could not believe that the girl in front of them was the one who swallowed up the lives of the kings, a monster who ate people and didn't spit out bones. Under that beautiful face, it is an indescribable terror. We shall not be confused. White Moon is lovely, but it's a terror that can't be touched. She has a magic power that captivates people. The prince must have been captured by her magic. That's why we need to protect the prince. The members of the Starwing Knights, who were in charge of the security task, whispered to each other, trying not to look at the couple in the carriage. Well, is everyone here? The naughty Mumu climbed onto Yunxi's shoulder and waved curiously to the companions of the Starwing Knights around. Hello, everyone. The members of the Starwing Knights, who could not tell Mumu the truth, showed anxious eyes and worried about the smallest and ignorant member of the Starwing Knights. In the past few days, Mumu has been together with the Demon Queen, who eats people for days. Won't she be tempted by the Demon Queen? Does the immortal demon queen have a hobby of eating children? At least, from the records that can be traced back, what she ate should only be the king's. They pray that the queen is only interested in powerful knights. Brother Prince, will Mumu marry you too? After greeting the young ladies of the Starwing Knights, Mumu leaned over Yunshi's cheek and asked this very important question. Where did you hear the rumor? Yunshi looks at Mumu and feels funny. Who taught her such twisted common sense? Because the teachers all say that I am the dowry of White Moon. Shouldn't the dowry be Sister White Moon's wedding gift? That's what everyone says. Mumu blinked with an innocent expression, and what she said made Yunshi almost doubt his own common sense. No one can decide who you are going to marry. Even if you are going to marry someone in the future, you are definitely not a dowry. Yunshi said. Who, and who taught Mumu such twisted knowledge? I think it's fun to get married with Sister White Moon. I know many interesting postures. Mumu draws a circle around Yunshi's ear with her fingertips to show the secret skill she learned in bridal lessons. Wait, that is. Yunshi's cheek twitches. What course did White Moon and Mumu take? Postures. I learned them well. The young queen of Assyria lowered her head shyly, put her fingers behind Yunshi's waist. Whether it's 2 or 3 people, White Moon added. What kind of lesson is it? Why did it teach the posture of 3 people? Yunshi would like to complain about why he never took such a course. If it wasn't for the first Dark Elf course, Tangled Lamia course, Treacherous Mermaid Queen course, and Sacred Celian Queen course, completed in the Million Bride course, his health education score might not be as good as the current White Moon and Mumu. Besides, most of his brides were not human beings. Mumu, today you're just a bridesmaid, not a dowry. Yunshi pinches Mumu's little face and tells her what to do today. White Moon, a threesome is too early for you. Is it? The young queen of Assyria was stunned for a moment, and then the curve of the corner of her mouth slowly raised. Yes, of course. We must be together all the time. Today is the day when we get married, the day when we agree to be together forever. Every word, the seed in the young queen's heart grows stronger. Thousands of years of accumulated cold and loneliness started to break little by little. Like the sun through the long night, happiness lit up the night in her heart. The wedding night only belongs to the white moon that can be in the sun, not to the self that can only hide in the underground lake and sleep under the giant stupid spider throne all day. Aware of this, the young queen of Assyria is more sober and impulsive than ever. She wants to change it all. Just like the difficult decision the Starwing Knights made. Because what Yunshi has done represents that the most innocent and imaginative young queen of Assyria has also made a decision. Even if she's broken into pieces, even if she's stained with blood, she won't regret it. When she came to the body called White Moon and got everything in her dream, she knew that she could never go back to the past. She doesn't want to be imprisoned in the silent underground lake for thousands of years. She doesn't want to be tied to the throne of the giant stupid spider day after day, year after year. She doesn't want to be such a lonely monster, and she doesn't want to be imprisoned in that place by fate. Bathed in the sunshine of early spring and feeling the breath of spring around her, the young queen of Assyria for the first time released Yunshi's hand, put her hands together, and began to pray for something. Her eyes no longer have any confusion. Sorry, I can't be with you anymore. Even a dream, after 1,000 years, should be tired. This nightmare is the time to end. Even if you will hate me and curse me, I will accept it. The one who sleeps forever is not dead. Even death will disappear in the wonderful eternity. May you have a real sleep and no longer resent everything in the world. With the murmur of the young queen of Assyria, the wandering black axe monsters and sword monsters began to stop one by one in the distant forgotten ruins. For thousands of years, these powerful monsters, who have been wandering in the ruins of the forgotten city, stopped. Just like clocks that have stopped winding, the traces of their activities stop suddenly. Their huge black axes, which once broke Yunshi into pieces, are rapidly rusting, corrupting, and finally powerless, breaking off and falling to the ground, turning into a pile of scrap iron. One by one, the black axe monsters and sword monsters began to expand. Just as they had been killed by Yunshi, they expanded into a balloon-like shape. At last, they burst one after another. In the blood, there are countless cold breaths gathered together. If it is a normal process, these cold breaths will soon return to the earth and become a new black axe monster or a sword monster. They are the spirit of resentment formed by the people who were killed and sacrificed in the night of the blood moon. Black sword monsters and axe monsters are just the reflections of their craziness. They are cruel, merciless, powerful, and opposite to those who were powerless and weak when they were alive. In this way, they wander in the street of the forgotten ruins in a humble manner, and try to pretend that they are still alive in the dream of the past created by the Queen. The Queen's game is the happiest time in their memory, the unforgettable obsession. They, who died together with the Queen, cannot leave the forgotten ruins or get rid of the curse. They can only wander here day by day, year by year, and become immortal murderers. The Queen tolerated them all, immersed in the game with them, only accepted the pure girl to enter the game field, and gave the winner gifts. Until that day, the Millennium Queen's game was over. The young Queen of Assyria made a decision not to deceive herself with her own people. She stopped believing that the kingdom of Assyria still existed and she was the carefree child. She, seriously, will not regret making this choice. Today, she's getting married, not a game, not a ceremony. She met him in the most beautiful season. The first time they met, the blood moon was hanging on the top of the sky. He seemed to be at a loss and walked up to her. At that time, she did not understand that this was the arrival of fate. When he took her hand and took her to the wedding carriage, she finally realized that from today on, she was his unique treasure and the only one in his life. In the days to come, no matter how rich and poor, whether the environment is good or bad, whether ill or healthy, the two will always be together. In the future, the two will hold hands together, spend time together, watch the tide rise and fall together, and taste life together. As long as he is there, even in the darkest night, she can see the sun, because he is the sun. Today, she and he will enter into a mutual bond. From now on, he will take care of her and protect her. Where he goes, she goes, where he stays, she stays. He will love her, comfort her, respect her, protect her, just like he loves himself. For the first time, she has a dream lover. For the first time, she embraces the warm body and walks hand in hand with him. As long as he's around, she won't be afraid of anything. The nightmare of the Queen is finally over. All along, thank you for your company. Thank you for playing this dream, called The Kingdom of Assyria has not disappeared. Now, farewell, my people. The age of Assyria is over. From the distant sky, there was a cold wind. It seemed that there were countless howls in the wind. It was the ancient ghosts who were cursed. It was the remains of the kingdom of Assyria that had been dead for thousands of years. They left the ruins, were no longer sheltered by the Queen, no longer had the infinite immortal state. Under the golden red sun, all the ghosts began to disappear, and the howls and curses gradually went away. They left the forgotten ruins, and finally got the final rest. In the empty forgotten ruins, the Millennium Queen showed a happy smile, and the number of invisible blades around her decreased by about a fifth. In contrast, the rest of the cursed blade is becoming sharper and more deadly. They chose another path and continued to follow the Queen of Assyria. It doesn't matter that the kingdom of Assyria is destroyed, and all the people are destroyed, even the last ghosts disappeared. For Her Majesty, the queen is everything and the embodiment of Assyria. The queen is Assyria. In the sky above the forgotten ruins, the wandering souls illuminated by the sun one by one become bubbles and disappear in the atmosphere. The dead, once lost in time, are finally at rest, for the queen forgives them. In the night of the blood moon, they once went mad under the whispers of the ancient gods, betrayed the queen they once trusted, and left the queen alone to fight with the fallen priests and knights. Although she won in the end, she was consumed by the blood moon. The difference is that even if the queen becomes a part of the blood moon, she is the only blood moon apostle who has the supreme status, and has the power to control countless curses. Even if fallen, she is the unique and most beautiful Millennium Queen. Today, the Queen of Assyria laid down her past. On the night of the blood moon, she failed to save her people and became the immortal queen herself. Such a woman, together with her dead people, imagined that the kingdom of Assyria still existed and that time would be stagnated forever on that day. Like a 1,000-year dream, the Queen of Assyria and her people are immersed in the dream and forget the passing of time. The forgotten ruins, the ruins of the dream kingdom of Assyria, where the queen dreams. Today, the Millennium Queen wakes up. She no longer clings to the glorious past of Assyria, releasing the ghosts wandering in the forgotten ruins. The dawn comes. The frozen time is unsealed. In the forgotten ruins, the Queen of Assyria gently hugged her abdomen with her hands. There is still some warm touch, the air is filled with the smell of blood. Ah! 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 Hanging over the forgotten ruins, a vague figure began to emerge in the blood moon. That is a strange figure surrounded by countless bloodlights, flying in the sky. Dream. Wake up. The Queen of Assyria sighed, but with a smile of liberation. Now, the ancient kingdom of Assyria can finally be declared dead. Because there has been a new human kingdom in this land. After thousands of years, even if it was just a lie at first, it was also regarded as true by people. For thousands of years, people have long forgotten Assyria. Only the queen retains the memory of that era and dreams of the kingdom with many dead souls. When she wakes up in her dream, she will hear the footsteps of the new era. On the wedding carriage, Prince, is it wrong for someone to see love more important than the world? The young queen of Assyria took Yunshi's hand and asked the question. Generally speaking, we think the world is more important. But that's not a question with a standard answer. Yunshi thinks about it and gives her his answer. Because for some people, love is more important than their life. Sometimes the world is wrong. At that time, you have to make a choice. This question is a question without a correct answer. If the whole world is wrong and only you know what is right, will you choose to uphold the right in your heart to become a hero, or to abandon your faith to become immortal? No matter which choice, there is no mistake. Some people are born heroes. And most people are just mortals, unable to step out of the hero's step. In this world, many times there is no right or wrong for the problem you have to face, but there are many options. You must have correct answers to the questions in the textbook. However, the question of life never has the right answer. People will give different answers to the same question, and this is the colorful world. All people's will is the same, all people give the same answer. If such a world exists, that world is abnormal and distorted. Then, I choose to fall in love. The young queen of Assyria made a choice. No one is entitled to accuse her of this choice, which is her final answer to Assyria. The root of all this is a confession. Thousands of years ago, the most talented priest in history proposed to the queen and forced her to marry him. When he failed to propose and became angry, he used the forbidden magic to summon the ancient gods in the abyss and let the blood moon appear on the king's city of Assyria. On the night of the bloody moon, everyone betrayed the queen, except the last knight who escaped. Those who had sworn allegiance to her were bewildered by the whispers of the ancient gods and rebelled against her. But the problem is, even if they get the power of the ancient gods, they are not the queen's rivals. Finally, the queen took her magic dagger and killed all the priests and knights. That night, the queen buried the kingdom of Assyria with her own hands, and finally was possessed by the blood moon. No winner, everyone is a loser. All those who rebelled against the queen died, becoming part of the forgotten ruins. The queen who gazed at the abyss was finally captured by the abyss and became part of the blood moon. After that, it was the long and cold dream, the queen fell into a long sleep. Until now, the sun fell in her heart again, let her open her eyes. Yes, she is not wrong. The world is wrong. Compared with the world, she finally chose herself to survive instead of accepting the high priest's proposal and becoming someone else's plaything. In other words, in her love and world peace, she chose herself and gave up the option of world peace. If the peace of the world can only be achieved at the expense of her body and life, it will be meaningless. In the forgotten ruins, the Millennium Queen looks up at the blood moon in the sky, and her eyes become more firm. Even if I do it again, I won't regret it. My life will never be trampled or distorted by others. My will belongs to myself. Even you are no exception. Love is a beautiful thing. The young queen of Assyria leans on Yunshi's side and shows her satisfied expression. Thank you for marrying me. No matter what happens, I will marry you and become your bride. She is always waiting for such a person, who is able to accept someone such as herself, even if he knows her real identity. Maybe it's just an unrealistic fantasy in a girl's dream, but isn't it good to realize such a dream? Today's queen is so lovely. Yunshi didn't realize that he had buried the 1,000-year-old kingdom of Assyria completely, and the danger level of the forgotten ruins had also dropped to nearly zero. The owner of the forgotten ruins will marry him. The difficulty of the ruins will naturally change from hell mode to simple mode, and all enemies will become friendly. In a sense, he has completed the quest of the forgotten ruins. Among the fireworks in the sky, the pumpkin carriage finally arrived at the central square of the royal city, where the moonlight ceremony was held. At this moment, the square is surrounded by a sea of people. Even the roof is full of people. If the royal guard did not maintain the street, let alone the carriage, even a dog could not squeeze into the square. Almost all the members of the Starwing Knights gathered on the platform where the wedding ceremony was to be held, and looked at the pumpkin carriage slowly coming from the street in the distance with complicated eyes. They were supposed to be the most loyal knights to the prince. Today, we will launch a revolution for the sake of the prince. Everybody, listen to the code later. Hua Yu, the leader of the Starwing Knights, took a deep breath. She stood tall, and then raised her white gold cross sword. Almost at the same time, all the members of the Starwing Knights raised their weapons. In the eyes of the people around them, this is just the action of the Starwing Knights to welcome the new couple. Only they know that this is a signal to declaring war. For the Starwing Knights, the strongest and worst enemy ever was there. Everybody's excited. It's fun. Mumu waves to the Starwing Knights on the high platform. Amongst all of the Starwing Knights, only she and Robin did not join in the operation, so she knew nothing about Hua Yu's plan. Well, even if she knew, she'll only be happy to join the party. Don't expect her to understand the noble sentiment of, we need a revolution for love. With Yun Shi and the bride, the Queen of Assyria, holding hands, walking up to the temporary wedding platform, the moonlight ceremony finally reached its peak. Long live the prince, long live the princess. Countless people were shouting together. Long live the kingdom, long live the Starwing Knights. Young people were looking forward to the beginning of the moment, as it will be worth remembering for a lifetime. Prince, you are our hero. Become the king quickly. Prince, I would like to have a baby with you. Prince, look at me, don't just look at the princess. Girls look at the handsome prince with eyes shining. No, it's the king right now. More or less, they all have a little fantasy. Although they can't be queens, lovers are still possible. They all know the tradition of the kingdom. In history, there have been lovers of the kings from civilian families. I didn't expect to see a new king in my lifetime. The old men wept and remembered the last king's accession to the throne. Some of them are farmers around the king's city, some of them are lower-class nobles, who have witnessed the wedding of the previous king, and now they are witnessing the accession of the new king. For them, this is the memory that will be brought into the coffin, and they have witnessed the most important moment in history. It's really stressful. For Yunxi, this time there is no cover of the White Emperor mask. He felt sorry, but he has stage fright. He didn't think that in the Dragon War trial, there would be such an unexpected event as marriage. Isn't it to collect partners, increase the combat effectiveness, and then go to fight against the dragon? What is the wrong step? Why does the owner of a bakery have to marry the queen as a prince? Great Will of Stars, is there something wrong with this trial? He should not listen to the mysterious royal augur to explore the secrets inside the palace. If he didn't, he wouldn't step on the world line of killing his father and marrying his mother. Well, the young queen of Assyria lowered her head and held Yunxi's hand. She was reluctant to let go. She has experienced dozens of such weddings, but only this time is different. Because she has made up her mind that she will never go back to that cold underground lake. Today's wedding is a real wedding. She is willing to marry the person beside her. Because he brought her white moon, her sunshine and hope. Once she has tried such a wonderful thing, she will never go back. Get married, get married. Mumu walked around Yunxi and the young queen of Assyria heartlessly, standing on tiptoe from time to time, kissing the little queen's face mischievously, or smelling the taste of Yunxi. The members of the Starwing Knights are looking at the new couple nervously, and are hesitant to make the almost unforgivable mistake. Hua Yu is also hesitating. It's clear that they should launch an attack when White Moon steps onto the platform. But looking at the intimate appearance of White Moon and Yunxi, she can't give the order. Am I wrong? Perhaps White Moon is not a monster. This is a major event that will determine the future of the whole kingdom. Once that step is taken, it will never go back to the past. In the hesitation of Hua Yu, the most important moment of the wedding finally began. Hua Yu's father, the only duke of this kingdom, the younger brother of the former king, looked at the new couple with happy eyes, and put the pair of wedding rings handed down from generation to generation by the royal family on their hands. This ring, Yunxi looks at the silver snake ring in surprise, and vaguely feels the historical vicissitudes contained in it. In contrast, the ring on the young queen's ring finger is the golden snake ring, which is just a pair with Yunxi. In the moment of wearing the silver snake ring, Yunxi can feel the heart shrink, as if it is connected by some kind of contract. Yes, this is the vow of the kings to the queen of Assyria. The vow of the silver snake swears allegiance to the golden snake. The duke smiled and looked at them. Although he felt a little sorry for his daughter, it was the tradition of the kingdom. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.